I just want to say before we start the podcast, a huge thank you to you guys. Well, everybody else is going to events for EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Bethesda, then spending the next 4 weeks bitching about everything to honor whore themselves back into appearing like they're somewhat not impacted by human nature during reviews. You guys make it possible that I don't have to do any of that. Your patron memberships, YouTube memberships, even comments and likes help me fight the good fight. And even if we disagree, even if you end up hating me, I can promise you one thing. You don't ever have to worry about any of the stuff like that here at ACG. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. This video sponsor is Manscraper. Do you have too much cush in your push? Do you suffer from too much traction and action while you're thrashing and bashing at the late night smashing? Try Manscraper. Manscraper is for the manly man. Sure, you can get little kid trimmers from the competitors as they daintily dance around your third arm and muckles. Manscaped is for a different beast. It's for dudes from another brood who didn't politely need to clip but need to hedge trim like they leg-choked Wilt Chamberlain in the glory years. Using our patent-pending 15-horsepower chipper shredder with advanced gonad alert technology, we can promise you the best shave you're ever going to get. And with Manscaped 2.0, there's approximately 12% less chance of injury. For only $499.99, you can get the Manscraper. 4 plastic bags for collecting your work and a 6-ounce container of aloe vera. If you order now, we'll also throw in the Demansculator. If you have nose thunder, down under, or just need a good washing, just hang our 4.2-pound Demansculator from your junk. Why shower when you can power through the hour, smelling like a tower of flowers? The Demansculator gives your wrinkled boys the washing of a lifetime, certified to pay. And last but not least, if you order now, we're going to throw in a little Gorilla Glue, because once you're done, you can make a beard out of all the leftovers. I mean, who doesn't want to dress up for Halloween, right? Why let all that good go to wasting? Manscaped, shaving your man grapes like you deserve. And if you join our Patreon now, you can join our photo collection group, where you can... we can send in... No, don't send me in nudes. Manscaped, if you want nuts so clean, you can eat off them. Manscaped, we haven't killed anybody yet. We've been clipping when you've been dipping. But I like when it comes to Monster, when it comes to Rockstar, I have a tendency to like drink it until I'm done and then just be like, dude, I just can't stand this. Imagine like two cavemen. They're sitting there. They're like, where's Oogla, dude? I don't know. And then Oogla shows up and he's got a fucking Monster energy drink. Imagine the shit that would cause. And Oogla's all hyped up. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know.
Have this magical liquid.
That's what I assume cavemen talk like. Oh. And they just show it and somebody drinks it. Like imagine around the campfire, people are just like, oh, and then they're pissing like horses later. They're all trying to figure out why their warm spirits are leaving their body. I wonder if they felt that. Imagine peeing and you feel a shiver when you're a caveman and you don't know the systems behind it. You'd probably be like, those are the warm spirits leaving my body. So then you'd hold in your pee as long as possible. So these guys are like running across the Serengeti and shit, trying to hold in their pee the entire time.
I think if your name is Oogla and you're back in those times, that is literally the least of your worries.
Probably.
Like there's a jaguar, 3 other predators.
Yeah, but you've got a spear, so you can always take them out. I mean, I assume they all had spears, but I'm wondering if I was chieftain, I would be spear collector. Because if you don't want guys to have spears, because Oogla can still stab you in the back, just like anybody. You know what I mean? So you'd want to keep those on the down low. You'd want to have a control system, almost like gun, sign out, National Registry kind of stuff.
Didn't betrayal come later?
Well, I mean, backstabbing comes from that term. So, like, who knows? You know? Like,
I think back in those days, they were like conniving.
Because Shubba Dub got his spear and he's getting ready to kill the woolly mammoth. And then Oogla's behind him going,
because he wants to bang Sheila Bong.
That's exactly the name I was going with, Sheila.
Yeah.
Or Arion Oogla ride. Sorry, that was a Thundar the Barbarian reference.
Right.
But yeah, gets ready to stab him. Sup, everybody? This is Carrick with AC. It's your boy. We'll do it that way. It's your boy, Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny Plays Live doing the Best Gaming Podcast. Silver was sick last week, and he comes every other week. So instead of inviting him and switching the schedule, he won't be here today this week as well, but he'll come in next week. So I always give him the chance, but this time I was like, I went back and looked at how many times I'd offered, and he was usually out of it by those times. So I figured it would be just Johnny and I. Yep. But he will be next week. You'll see Silver. So if your plan is to skip this one because Silver's not here,
think twice about it, because guess what? We got cool scientific facts at the end too.
We do have
like we did last time to rank hot or mild.
We'll probably have some game facts too. There's game facts.
Okay.
Game facts.
That's
Is that
cool.
a website? feel like that's a website. We probably have some game facts too. But before we begin, give a thumbs up. Make sure to spread the word of the Pottycast for us. It would absolutely help. We do have a bunch to talk about. We have, let's see, Dispatch, flatly amazing. We have Outer Worlds, really good. People seem to really like that, even more so than I did, which I wasn't quite sure where I'd land on that. We've got Power Wash Simulator 2. The reviews came out for that. We have some more rumors, continued rumors of Halo coming out, being announced today around 12:30. So you guys will be in here with us. So if you decide to play Outer Worlds right now, put us on like a podcast. Turn us down a little bit. Have us ebb and flow into your podcast or into your game. Are you going to do Outer Worlds, man?
I will 100%. It's still currently only early access through the premium edition.
3 days, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a bit more. On the 29th, it's available to everybody, all buyers.
Right.
So I'm gonna wait for that. Probably. I'm gonna wrap up Ghost of Yotei that I've been playing. I streamed a bit with you guys too. It's been really good. So I'll finish that and then Outer Worlds next.
Dude, the streams have been, man, what a lifesaver. Like we did, we've been doing the FMVs. Then we watched Solar do 2 times through Dispatch. It's been awesome to get work done. I'm sure people have noticed, but like been able to do more videos because of some stuff I did when I took my week or month off, but also just putting them on the background and watching people play the different games. And it's sort of fun, man, because I told you as a reviewer, you don't get to experience those games very much with people. So having the streams in the Discord part is nice. Yeah, because you get to experience with everybody. It's like instead of just being all, that was a fun game, as you scream into the void, some dark ass Nietzsche void that you're just alone and isolated. You're like, I like this game. No one said anything back. So it's pretty cool to jump in there with everybody. What have you been playing this week than... Oh, go ahead. I was going to ask, did you low-key multiply yourself this month? Because you've had like 2 reviews on literally the same day. And then like, 2 others. That month off was a month off of creating a bunch of videos. It was not a month off of work. Like I scheduled
Just didn't like come out.
Yeah, I spent a week scheduling and looking at places that I needed to get efficiencies because I was alone. I looked at what I needed to do for Substack, which is why there's been more Substacks lately, which is the blog website. But it's really nice to have a Substack because some of the stuff I want to talk about, I'm not going to do a video. I could, but I'm not going to do a video for a lot of them. I just don't have the time. But a Substack takes, a couple minutes to write it. You write it, spell check it, error check it, and you can do it in a different way than a video where you're like, hello, this is ACG. Today you're like, Jesus. If they're on my Substack, they probably already know. So scheduling all that, and then another 2.5 weeks to learn some more Python from what I had already been learning so that I can make my programs I needed to make things efficient, even just naming the files and all that stuff. And it did help. You could actually tell. Like I would roll out a one review and immediately be like, boom, I look at my check. It's like, I need to do this and this and this and this. And boom, jump into the next one. So yeah, helped a lot. But back to you. What are you playing? What were you playing this week?
I've been playing Ghost of Yotei, pretty much only that, a little bit of League on the side, but really only that. I've been enjoying it a lot. As I was showing you guys, I was pretty much kind of just going after all the weapons and like the upgrades and just having a good time with that. And I think now the story is speeding up quite a lot. So I'm progressing quite a lot. I might be close to finishing it next couple days. It's been a blast.
Yeah, the thing about that game is you can come back to it a little bit easier than maybe the prior one even. And easier than a lot of other games. So just jumping back into it. It's the positive and negative of it. I think it shows the negatives where somebody, if they want a little bit more, might run into what I consider a positive, at least right now, which is the ability to jump in and out. So you have all the...
Yeah, I thought the combat clicked with me way more than the first one, too. I've just been having a lot of fun. Yeah, there are like some challenging moments, but overall just feels really fluid.
Like that claw shit for the bamboo.
Oh, dude.
I don't like the bamboo thing very much.
D-pad combos. oof.
Yeah, but I like her. Shows a little crack, which I was excited for. When she gets, I didn't know how they would handle nudity, even though they of course handle it the way we expect, which was, they were pretty tasteful with it. But I like that maturity's there, because sometimes you get it where you're like, oh come on, you guys aren't. Dude, I trimmed my beard and I can see a little beard particle right there.
Oh, did you?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I felt like she's growing on me quite a lot. Where in the beginning, I thought she was a bit of an empty husk.
Right.
And now I'm starting to get a lot more of like banter moments and little bits of personality, and her like facial expressions even I found to be quite good, because she's stern, but she has some moments of levity there. And kudos to the actress. I also saw like an interview with her, and she has this huge smile, like the person, the actual actress.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of weird to see like how she changed herself for the role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been enjoying it quite a lot.
She is a little bit more dour in the role,
Yeah.
Than
not a single hug like, hey brother.
Mm-mm.
Like, really? Not a hug after years?
No, definitely
Don't
not.
want to spoil anything.
Fighting Dog, $2 super chat. We also have some ones from patrons I'll get to in just a second. He says, what does Halo have to do to get you pumped? We'll give one thing, and then we'll talk about it even more when we talk about Halo. I'll tell you what. It needs to be so divergent graphically, so improved graphically that it's mind-numbing. That's what I want.
That's a good one.
We moved to the new engine.
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see you look at it, and even if it's the same parts you've seen, and it needs fixed library, that's too. I'm not going to go on there, but yeah, graphically, its sound was already good. I need to see that thing sing, like where you look at it and you're like, holy shit. Killzone Resistance, weirdly enough, on the PlayStation 4 is almost a launch title. Might have been a launch title. Still is one of the most impressive games space-wise, like space fighter guy or futuristic fighter guy-wise. That's not Cyberpunk. I want it to do that, almost like a launch, but for a game series. Like, be the new launch. I want to see this thing just, look absolutely incredible.
Stand out.
Yeah, to
instantly.
The point to where you're all, that is the new Halo. There's no, it's infinite times 2 or some crazy.
Because it's so easy to ignore for people who just say, whatever, it's more Halo, if they're not big fans, But if they manage to do something really unique with the look, where you almost get that FOMO where you don't want to be the one missing out on the new, cool, interesting thing.
If the rumors are true that I've been hearing since this was initially ages ago, is that it's probably day one on the PlayStation, in the same way Helldivers would have probably been day one on the Xbox if they had known the money that everybody was was missing out on. Dude, like, that thing's going to sell gangbusters, like ridiculous. There's going to be a lot of people who are like, Halo, whatever. It's on the PlayStation? What? I love it. I've always loved Halo. The typical stuff we always see. But here's what I would love. It's getting announced. It's on Unreal. Put that thing 30 FPS on a Switch too. Yes, I said that. I really, truly believe, like, throw as much stuff on the Switch 2 as you can. Would it, obviously wouldn't look near as great.
Sure.
But if I was making my game and I was going to put it on a competitor's device, then I would put it on every fucking device known to man. I'd get a iMac version or whatever it's called now. What do we call them? Macs? Apple version. I put that thing on everything, man. I'd have that thing on a goddamn cereal box.
And like full crossplay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so anyway, we'll get back to Halo in a second, because I do have a couple other super chats as well. One of them, and I'm sorry I didn't get the name, but they asked which of the 3 games that I played, if I could only play it for the next month, what would I play? And I sort of like that because it was next month and it wasn't the next year. Of all those games, so you have Outer Worlds, you have Dispatch, and you have Power Wash. Okay, listen, Dispatch, that would be weird playing that for a month. It's got some choices.
Not that kind of game.
But
right?
Damn, son. Dude, that'd be rough playing it and being like, I wonder if something else will change. No. I would probably choose Power Wash. Even though I really liked Outer Worlds, I can get through Outer Worlds pretty quickly. I could choose all the stuff and just like get right through. Sully, $10 super chat. What's up, Sully? It's nice seeing you in the streams lately. What's your fave thing to listen to while playing Power Wash, other than ACG, of course? Mine is Go-To Pod about programming. What do I listen to other than myself? Well, first of all, I don't listen to myself. That would be hilarious. But, well, what about Johnny? first? What do you listen to if you're playing like a game like Power Wash? Do you just have the game going and you just sit back with the atmospherics of the game, or do you throw something?
No, I usually do a podcast. Yeah, there are several I do. I'm not like religiously. You're not one.
You're not completely religious about one single pod. You're wearing like the Pope dress. It's got the
So it depends on the mood. There's one I really like called Mindscape from Sean Carroll. He's a astrophysicist. He talks, but he covers a bunch of different, science adjacent stuff too. That's cool. Like he had one where he was talking about wine degustation.
Yeah.
Which is totally random, but it was fun to listen to, and cool perspective. And then Cool Worlds, I really enjoy listening to. Sometimes Lex Friedman if he's got like a cool guest. Yeah, I think those are maybe some of the main ones I'll do. Professor Dave is fun to listen to. I don't know if you've ever listened to his stuff. He does both like full educational stuff, but sometimes also like debunking that can be fun to listen to.
For me, I'll throw on How It's Made, even if it's old ones. It's Made's been, I feel like that thing started in 1985 and shit, but How It's Made is awesome.
That is my
Twinkies.
My Lego. Like if I'm building some Lego, I love having that type of stuff
and
on the
starting chicka-ching, where they show that they have the sound of the mechanics being built and stuff like that. That sounded oddly, possibly racist. That was me doing the sound of metal and stuff coming together. I adore How It's Made. Because it's just data that something will sit in your brain about a Twinkie after you watch it, and you'll be like, boom, I got, now I know, how they make the center of a Twinkie. Mindscape's good. Pretty much the same ones you said, because we overlap a lot, but then I do a lot of vibe music, like a lot of laid back.
Do you listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson's one, Star Talk?
I will listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson, but Neil deGrasse Tyson still has that tendency to kibosh a bunch of stuff. And it isn't, I would assume the easiest description would be Neil deGrasse Tyson and his co-hosts are a great deal like you and I, where people listen and they don't necessarily like that we go off topic or that we talk about certain stuff, and they sort of want to keep us on topic. Or if we've answered a question 100 times, we may just be like, well, we've answered that. Here's my short answer. We move on. Versus a Cool Worlds, who here's 2 hours of deep diving into black holes. Even if you've heard about black holes 1,000 times, if you invite somebody on, you're going to hear it 1,001 times. And you and I just don't have the brain chemistry, I don't think, for that. Or at least I know I don't. It wouldn't be fun. So with Neil, I pop in and out. I like more of his blurbs. Yeah, like little shorts. I'll see a short of his and then I'll go watch his video.
True. Sometimes if a topic is really interesting, because
I used to like Sean Ryan. He's such a conspiracy theorist now. Like that's the biggest thing I've noticed about a lot of the people I used to like, is they've all descended into the moon is made of cheese. And you're like, Jesus Christ, dude. Because you'll hear this a lot of times when a podcast starts, they're trying to capture the algorithm, whatever. And so then once they've captured it, they then break off into a little bit more of like what they really are, which is why we did the opposite, which is that we just started out Better with Friends. Not going to say others because weirdly enough, some other people have taken the podcast names. I don't know why, but we had some other podcast names with friends in it, and those we did with Josh and all that stuff. And then we've just stayed this way for a while. But yeah, I mean, just different types of podcasts. I don't know. The conspiracy theorist, I've heard enough of them. I'm like, okay, whatever. 70 years ago. But what if? I'm like, what if? What if? What if? I've heard every new one that,
it's lost its luster.
It absolutely lost its luster. Yeah. So, but a good question on on what game? Yeah, Power Wash would definitely be the one. Yeah. So let's talk about Power Wash Simulator. It's a weird sequel, dude. It's definitely, I would say it's the lowest level sequel you would probably accept. What I mean by that is, it doesn't really do a ton more locations. Like if the original had 30, this doesn't do 39 or 40. It doesn't make them bigger. It has you go indoors now, so you clean the outdoors, and then some of them will open up and you go inside, so that's fun. And you can definitely enjoy that. But overall, it's not about it's a power wash simulator. What are they gonna do? You know, they added some add-ons. They added couch co-op, which is great for people who, you know, want to reinvigorate themselves with some best friend coming over, and the rest is cathartic. It's, you know, clipping a hangnail, clipping your fingernails of video games.
Is a good comparison House Flipper? House Flipper
Not
2,
so much, no.
It kind of did, because they had a lot of quality of life.
Not only that, but it's just way
upgrades.
more complex than Power Wash isn't it's anti-complex. It's So here's the cool thing about Power Wash, and the thing that might bother people. In House Flipper, as you get better and better, there are very distinct improvements that you will use all the time. So you will upgrade and use them all the time. It's like playing WoW and using an old skill. After a while, you're like, why am I still using this old one? And usually it looks good or something like that. But most of the time you graduate to the new ones. Power Wash Simulator doesn't require that. There's not a single thing in the game that really requires you to buy anything new. They're faster, or they can shoot farther. You know, that's about it. And so the rest of the time, and there's no time limit. So there's no... It's completely the opposite in many ways, where you're just like, and you're not painting. So if it was called like Handyman, and it had power washing, then cleaning, painting, if you were painting those areas, then I could see it feeling more like House Flipper. But currently, no, not really a fine example of a hugely complex game. But yeah, it's enjoyable. It's a good cost. It's got a ton of gameplay if you like that kind of stuff, and it's fun to just sit down and spray, which sounds dirty. Let's spray together, as you said in the chat. Let's spray together. Sounds dirty.
Spray together.
I mean, dude, it's like there was one. I will say this: you get a sort of a size anxiety, though. Be like showing up at a gangbang and you're the shortest man. I went to a spot and there was this massive like building house, and it's 4 stories tall, and you've got, you know, your gantries, and not gantries, but you have your split walkways, and you have a sling that you can go up and down. And I walk in and I look, and I'm just like, oh my God. And I remember saying out loud, oh my God, this is going to take, you know, it's going to take
you're there
2
with your
hours.
puny.
Yeah.
You know,
I did upgrade, and really honestly didn't feel like I did it much more. It was pretty much the same, you know, the same speed, a little bit faster. But yeah, so you just jump in, and you're like, okay, here we go. And, you know, you start cleaning. Different style of game. Really happy to see it out. And I think it's a good example of why people should be a little bit cooler with sequels that a sequel doesn't need to, like, you know, absolutely change everything or spend years in development. This is just a good, solid sequel, and well worth the money. Well worth the money.
Would you have been happier if they did add new stuff, like maybe a whole new layer around the business side, make that more intricate, as an example?
Probably
or like
would have been more
interesting?
Yeah, because I don't think this game's that interesting. It's Zen-like in the fact that it doesn't need to be interesting. So, yeah, it would have been cool to see, but it's no worse for not having it, if you get my drift. In fact, it would have been a complexity that then they would have to work around. You know, it would have had to have been like, you got to put this in every level, that kind of stuff. So, Jet Black Ninja, $20 super chat. What's up, sir? Happy Friday. Hoping everyone gets a little extra good karma heading into the weekend. So can I, but I don't know if, like, we'll have to see. This weekend might be quite busy for
we can all
of us.
use some good karma for sure.
That's true. That's true. We can karma farm on Reddit. Can we get Gaz on again for a guest sometime in the future? Yeah, we can get anybody online. We can get a guest on. It's just I don't invite very many. I invited
Speaking
Asa.
of,
Asa
Asa's
just
in
jumped
chat.
in. I invited Asa and a couple others, but the honest truth is, I mean, other than Asa, who else is like a? We are getting some composers on. I just got contacted. Somebody wanted to come on, but who do we get on like regularly? We get Asa on. We get I feel like I'm missing a name. I know I'm missing a name that we've had on multiple times. Oh, we've Neospark. We've had him on 1, 2, 3. I think 3. So 3 times. Yeah. Can we get Lex Friedman? So not Lex Friedman, but I do have a couple people that I'm talking to that are outside of the bailiwick that I want to come on because
that would be fun, man.
I want to get Rory on because talking to Rory about marketing and consumer and the consumer backlash. Oh yeah, John, of course, Digital Foundry. That might have been who I was thinking about because John's been on. I'm very careful with who I bring on because I want to make sure that they're okay with the way we talk and that they're just going to have a good time. Can you get Meg or Colt? I don't know who Meg is. Colt's already been on 3 times, and I'm sure he'll be on again. David Jaffe. That's the God of War guy, right? I don't know. Does he do stuff anymore? I don't see him. King?
I'm not sure.
The Iron Lords. Duh. That was the other one. The Iron Lords guys. Yeah.
Addict has been on.
Addict's been on. Addict was on and not on at the same time. He
was like playing a game. Motherfucker.
Yeah, that was funny as shit. But anyway, so that's Power Wash. Let's talk about Outer Worlds. So Outer Worlds came out. Reviews at the time that I looked, 80 to 85. Critics was like 85 to 90% critics recommend on Open. Haven't looked again. Okay, so what is it? Outer Worlds 2 it really is a cynical Mass Effect. There's no other way to talk. I mean, where the original was more lofty in the clouds, still gathering a little bit of that happiness. This one is not very happy. And this one, and the first area is sort of down as well mentally in the location and the people. So it's got a completely different feel to it. Completely different than the first half.
Is it a bit like British where, self-deprecating and we think things suck, so we're going to make you aware of that?
Nope. And I don't even think that's British anymore. Talk to any American, they do the same thing. Like, it's just humans now, right? I think because I talk to you, and so I pick up on your sense of humor, you pick up on mine pretty soon. It's a giant piss-filled pot. No, man, it's just, and then they've improved the shooting. So that's a massive improvement, actually, in some ways. And it's just altogether a really good sequel. But I will say I wasn't aware. I wasn't quite as high on it as everybody else was. I was sort of surprised because there are some things in that game that definitely. So let me give an example. I'm okay with the attitude change. I have no issue with that, and I'm never going to have an issue with that. That makes sense. This is their entire game, and it doesn't break from that. I'm not comparing it to number 1 in attitude. That would make no sense. The entire game, start to finish, is slightly different in its tone. That works. However, they were like, we want to make this area bigger. We want to make this world bigger. And the complaints are going to come in, whether it's just you and me, whether it's videos. I don't know. I don't think video. Well, who knows these days, but there's a lot of running around with nothing and a couple monsters. And that is Outer Worlds' biggest problem replicated from the original. The monster and enemy types. So you're on these worlds where everybody picks the worst place ever, and for some reason doesn't clean up amongst themselves. So you have an outpost here and an outpost over there, 300 yards away. This is Death Stranding bullshit, right? You can see the outpost, but the guys pretend like you can't see the outpost, but you can see them, and you're like, they're right fucking there. And the guy beside you is like, yeah, we don't know if they're alive. And you're like, I'm watching them right there. He's BAing us.
You can see the people
now. He literally is waving to us. And they're like, yeah, we have no clue. It's a mystery. And you're like, there's no fucking, right there. So that happens. And then you go between there, and there's a big goddamn monster in between us. And you're like, but they don't say that. They just say, you need to go check on this person. A big fucking monster. You kill the monster. Monsters respawn after a certain amount of time and a reload back to the area, so that's not a big deal. I have no issue with the respawn. It seemed to be really light, so that wasn't a problem. I cranked the difficulty up. That felt good. Shooting, you have a slide, and you can actually crank up your skills so that when you slide into people, you knock them down, you stun them. Oh, that's good. I will say, up close with weapons, I had this issue where I would sort of, I guess I would say I would lock up. I called it something in the review, and I can't remember because I don't script my review, but it was something along the lines of, basically what happens is there's like a mismatch lockup that would happen where I would try to parry or block, and then their attack would be a little slower than I expected. So I'd undo the block, and then it was in my zone, and I'd do the block and get hit. And that happened a lot. And that was a combination of me coming to grips with the weapon system, as well as that they're animals. So they're just different. They're not a person standing there punching you, right? Like they're an animal.
Yeah.
They attack weird, and they do a great job moving around. And then there's ones that turn invisible. So you're firing at them, they go invisible, and you just see the brush moving. And it was like Predator. That was great. All that kind of stuff is awesome. But I wish there was just, I don't know. Outer Worlds is contained on its own. So where are you going to get new enemy types? But at the same time, there's just a lot of open space in that first area. It actually fixes after that. That first area can be 6 to 12 hours if you decide you want to take that long.
That's big.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Also, I like this, but I don't think many will. It's easy to get lost because there's no real visual identifiers many times of how to get into a place. So there was a city, and you come up to it, and you're like, do I go here? Or should I go around? Because and then you go around and the city's raised up on with walls, and you're all, okay, I'm not 100% sure what exactly I need to do to get in here, so I'm just going to go in. You go in through the front door, and that's fine. Because there's no signage to know where people are, which is fine. I don't mind that. There also, though, wasn't what I think I got from Hell Is Us, and I think it needs to continue in other games. And this is not fair to Outer Worlds 2. I'm talking about if 3 or 4 get made. You need to start having your NPCs be really clear about where to go if you have a soft location.
Yeah.
It would be a little nicer to be like, it's the 3rd building when you enter inside of the city, instead of having to ask somebody, hey, dude, where's the armor? Just little things that they could have added to the narrative that would have been like, I gotcha. That works.
Either that or make the location really easy to parse at a glance,
and
right? Because what
busy,
you're describing seems a bit difficult.
Yeah. And dude, it's visually busy. There's signs, there's broken down signs next to real signs. There's guys who are building up locations, so those look busy. There's a lot of busyness visually to a lot of the areas, especially in the first spot. And so when you come into a place, you're like, where, who? And then I love this, way more NPCs. So because there's so many more NPCs and they all look like Outer Worlds NPCs, which looks like they rolled down a hill filled with junk and then just glued it to themselves at the end, it's very hard to tell who the special character is, which I love, meaning everybody looks pretty special. But if you have 40 to 60 people in a crowd and somebody says, go talk to that guy, and points generally at the crowd, you're going to be in deep shit. You're going to be like...
So it's not like anime where the one guy with the, the spiky, colorful hair.
Or slightly, like shaded, slightly different than everybody else standing in the corner. Yeah, no, it's not like that. Back to combat for a second. I like the special skills. The flaws are given to you as you play, which are cool. You can ignore them, which I did for the most part. I took 1 or 2 to see how they worked. They were great. They worked fine. I like the weapon designs. When you add on mods, they completely change a lot of the look of the guns. That was good. Crafting system was good. Pretty generic. Wasn't really anything super cool, I would say. You have to get these blueprints so that you can apply them to guns and armor. And there was a confusion sometimes where I swear to God I had a blueprint and I would, have it. It would be there. It would be available to use. And then I would go to the modder or to a workbench, and one of your characters is a mobile workbench, which, by the way, super helpful. And you go to him and you go in there and you're like, well, why is this mod not showing up? And there were a couple times like that where there were these idiosyncrasies in how you were able to apply something or do something that just was a little cumbersome. And then the voices were phenomenal. Like that was the other thing, is everybody talks in that game, minimum to say hello a couple different ways, but there are some really, really good characterizations and voices there. And they did something really cool that Outer Worlds 1 did. Boy, did this go over flatly on Twitter too. But that's because no one knew what I was talking about, I guess. So in Outer Worlds, they adjust the syntax just barely. They adjust the grammar just barely, depending on like some people. So you meet a dumb person, they sound a little different than a smart person. Certain factions might use words, or they might talk in a different way. So you get the religious faction who believe in like sort of the machine god light from Warhammer. They talk with a lot of old-fashioned English. Then some don't. And I was joking I thought, oh, I'm gonna fuck around. So I posted my review. People were like, what the fuck? I don't even understand. Is this written by GPT? And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that is what you would think, because when you hear them saying it, you pick up on it, on what they're saying, but it is pretty, not jargon filled. It's just that the way they talk, a couple of them have a really cool feeling of, this is the way to know they're a particular group. It's not just their look, it's their sound. So they don't all sound like me, but one's dressed in a religious robe. They sound slightly, and I really like that. I think that helps, especially when there's voice. And that was really
it helps sell it.
Yeah, it helps sell that they're just different groups.
We have a couple of super chats if you want to shout those out.
I'll get them too in a second, because otherwise I'm gonna mess up my train of thought, and I want to make sure I hit everything before we move on. Then, so your comrades.
Yeah, I was very curious. Because we said
no
like
Pavardi.
two Pavardis was the hope.
They do some stuff that is really cool, and depending on your choices, which I loved. And I sort of dug one of the characters a lot, and I think they're probably the most boring. But I think the reason why I liked them is because when I'm out there fighting off giant lizards and hurtling explosives, I want a guy who's solid. I don't need the guy who's emotionally, is like, I don't know if I like you. Shut the fuck up, man. We're in the midst of something right now. Could you just follow me and do this shit? And there's one guy there who's solid, man. Like, he's really solid. And I think he's probably going to be the most boring for people, but I ended up taking him pretty much everywhere because he still had his own. Everybody's got a companion quest or two. Everybody's got big storylines that they follow on their side and that you help them with. But I like that guy who is just solid. The other characters I liked as well, but he was cool. And then there's one I'm not going to spoil because I haven't seen it in the trailer. People know that this person is in the game because of the companions trailer, but I won't spoil the special thing about him. But it was pretty gross. Yeah, it's pretty gross. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Okay.
I was like, oh damn, that's weird. So it'll be really interesting to see if people agree that it's weird or people think, hey, I like the change up. And then you got your robot companions and stuff, which I sort of dug. They all have their own special nomenclature, like an acronym of some kind, which is cool. Valerie, I think, is the first one you get. Let's see, what else? Well, the main one you get. Oh, dude, there's
no romancing, right?
I probably won't spoil that. No, not at least not that I found. I think they said there was none, but I didn't really. I mean, there's some hinting around. But nothing like over. It isn't like that. It's like these guys. We're here for a reason, and it's a big deal, by the way. So if you take the Reapers from Mass Effect 1 and 2 as a big deal, and I was trying to figure out why these guys are wasting time fucking and not saving the world. Outer Worlds 2 is somewhat the same. It's such a big deal.
It made sense at the time, Carrick. Yeah. Okay.
Not to me. It's such a big deal that I'm like, okay, I get it. Also, speaking of Mass Effect, I'm pretty sure, and I haven't looked, there's at least 3 BioWare / Mass Effect actors doing at least side characters in this that you meet. There was one that they popped up, and I'm like, if that's not so-and-so, that is the closest. That person must have played Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 a lot. So that was cool.
Like first cousin.
Yeah, locations were great. Main spaceship was okay. I think I really liked the setup of the original spaceship. You still, you've got your crew quarters, and each one has some special stuff that exists in there. Leveling up is all basic stuff. You get, I think it's 2 skills or 2 traits, and then a skill every 2, or it's 2 skills and a talent. 2 skills and a talent, and they're pretty much bog standard stuff. There's some cool ones in there though that add some pretty impressive jump ups in power. And then they've changed around the companion stuff a bit, which was okay, but didn't really. The companions in their relationship status are different than in the first one, or at least somewhat. And in the same way, their skills are a little bit more. This is a guy doing his own thing versus I'm in control of this guy as much. You still get to control them though and have them do specials if you want. You just can't see them in the big cataclysmic way you could before, or at least I wasn't able to.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
So the skills there, they aren't that you mentioned they're not that interesting, so they're not something like Fallout 4 where each could really change the way you play.
They change much. Yeah, they do change the way, but you can't change and then change on top of it without it feeling really weird. So they change in the same way games that do a good job changing do. They just don't up the ante. They don't make you go, this is a step up. It's like, this is pretty much what I expected. I will say there's a lot of dialogue choice in this game that matters depending on what you have. If you have a skill or an item, you'll be talking to somebody, you'll be like, you've got this item. And you'll be like, oh, I do have that item. Let's see what that does. Observation does stuff. You see stuff around you. So when you do get those skills, at minimum, the narrative gets huge. And what I do, I know some people turn those off. They don't want to see what they don't have. I love it because it gives me an idea of the flexibility of character generation. So if I see medicine pop up in discussion a lot, I might look at getting medicine. That pops up. I mean, not that one in particular, but all of them pop up a ton. There is a buttload of just absolutely sort of vital skills that you can get that will adjust discussion. It's hard to plan for them, though. I planned for one, and then it wasn't used as much anymore, and a new one was, and I planned for that one, and then I went somewhere else, and that one wasn't used, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I need to either be on it. Then there's a couple big decisions that can change depending on your skill. And one of them is huge, and I gotta watch some other people's videos because I didn't have enough points to put it. I didn't even have enough points. I would have to have gone way back to get this. There's a couple huge like choices that you can still take your normal choice, but it'll be like, do you have this skill? And it'll be pretty high, be like 4 to 6 plus, which means you pretty much bought just that. And I didn't. And I got to this spot and I'm like, oh, damn, that's sort of what I want, because it'll also tell you in some of these what that will fix. And I saw it and I'm like, oh, no. And I
missed opportunity.
It is, but a good one, because that more than almost anything made me want to replay the game. I was like, man, I sort of want to replay this now.
You mentioned there's no respec, right? So it's
no respec,
like it's committal in a sense, which you said.
I love it.
Like that worked to make it more.
I thought it worked to make me want to play way more, and it fits with the way the game is set up, where things matter. You're not a jack of all trades at all. Your characters are.
Yeah.
And their traits can add on to stuff. But your characters are the jack of all trades. You are not the jack of all trades anymore. I mean, you could be, but it would suck. There would be a lot of.
You wouldn't be good at. You wouldn't be good at anything.
You'd be 1 everywhere.
Yeah.
And most of them were 2 or 4. So you'd be like, I can't do this. So yeah, it's one of those. All right. So we'll get to super chats real quick, and then we'll jump back into it. MK Survivor, $5. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, boys. Going to get back into Outer Worlds. Just wanted to hop in with some best wishes. Thank you very much, Survivor. It was nice talking to you in chat, by the way. Manny, 1000 DOP. What is that? Danish?
I believe that is Dominican pesos.
Okay, same thing. Yeah. Hey, guys, I wanted to know, how long would you say Outer Worlds 2 is? I've not heard an estimate yet. Yeah, I think estimates for gaming, it's pretty much dead.
It's tough, right?
It's not only tough, it's that no one, it's pretty much dead. I would say you're talking no less than 30 for sure. And it took me way longer than 30. But right now, with games with this much choice, for example, I had a choice that added a mission. I don't know if that mission is added for somebody else without the choice at all.
Sure.
Meaning that could be 2 or 3 or 4 hours that are completely separate. And so it's one of the reasons why so few people want to talk about the length of time anymore, because it is on these games, by the way, not like every game. I'm saying when you get this kind of stuff. So I'll say, I can't imagine somebody getting through this in less than 30 hours. I legit can't imagine it because the first area is like 8 maybe is what it took me. It might take somebody 4, especially people who know what I just said. All this is sort of data for them to be like, okay, skills matter. I'm going to pick a skill, crank it to 4. So maybe they'll get faster than I did on some stuff. But
that's a pretty good length for this type of game.
Yeah. It definitely, I mean, it's bigger than the first one. It felt more like the first one with all of its DLC packed in. in length, probably, for a normal player. And
Yeah.
then if you turn it on easy, now that I think about it, you're going to rush this. Now that I think about it. So if you turned it on easy, you would probably rush this. You could probably get it under 30. I mean, that's the other thing, Johnny. I was just talking to somebody about, they were mad about a game because the game was about 25 hours. And I was like, it's physically impossible to be 25 hours. Like, I've timed it. And the cutscenes alone were like 16 or something. It wasn't that long, but, it was ridiculous. And they're like, oh, I don't listen to the cutscenes. I just read the words. And I was like, oh, well, okay. That's another thing. If somebody just reads everything and doesn't listen to the voices or doesn't care, then you can, strike another 4 or 6 hours. So,
But then again, that's a big part of the game, right?
I think it is a massive part of the game. And not only that, they say stuff the way they say stuff. So let me give you an example. If I said that guy over there, or if I said that guy over there, they mean completely different things. So listening to the voices in games, especially this game, matters. And it will give you data that you might end up understanding, oh, this person doesn't like this other person. Or you have the sarcasm. No, I love working here. Or no, I love working here. And you're like, wait a minute. That sounded off.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So you got to listen. Red Wolf Renegade, $5 super chat. I've been watching From based on your thoughts, and wow, what an amazing show so far. No filler, keep you guessing, and great character development. Yeah, From is fantastic. I think next season's next year, right? Early next year?
I hope so. Yeah, I'm excited.
I can't wait. From is delicious. A little gory, though. Be prepared. If you're listening to this now and you're like, I'm going to jump into From, don't do it with your kids around. What do you have any questions about Outer Worlds, or do you want to keep it light?
So we covered a lot of them. Let's see here. What about the music? Because the first one had some bangers, including like the menu.
It's a different style. So I'll say this: they have some radio stations, and they are witty in their music. There is one, and I'm not even going to say what it's about, but the song came up and I heard the main line. You and I just talked about this prior to the podcast with like 1980s songs, her heart is like a stone, that kind of stuff. This plays on that shit and you hear it, and it's that style of music you would expect from Outer Worlds. But if you listen to the words, oh, dude, primo. I was laughing, listen to the words going, what? Oh my God, I get it now. It was so cool because what the main title is means one thing, but what the song was saying, I love that. The dichotomy, the difference between those two. Yeah. That happens a lot. Those were fantastic. Overall, the music was good. I don't think the main menu hit like Justin Bell's did in the first one, but that was sort of the first one, it was like Mass Effect 1's main title hit harder than I think 2 or 3 did. That's not a talent thing. That's just, it's your first foray into this world. So yeah, music was good. It wasn't, it's a certain style of music. It's just like a Fallout style. It's like Outer Worlds 1. So it's not modern. It's all that.
Yeah.
That
the other thing you talked a bit about the graphics, and it sounded like it was a step up, but not like, write a letter home.
Right there. So I'll say this: in the cities, it looks phenomenal. Like
that's good.
Ridiculously good.
I thought the faces looked better.
Way better.
Did you notice that?
Yes, they look. The hair, the faces. There's still going to be the odd potato dude, but we all have that best friend who looks like that odd potato dude.
Yeah.
But you walk up and talk to somebody, and there were a lot of characters I saw that I was like, damn, that character looks good up close. Hair is terrible, though. And I don't mean it looks terrible when you talk to an NPC, but if you look close, it looks like just wicker baskets were unwoven and glued to your fucking head when you're picking hair.
Yeah.
But from far away, from me to you away, podcast length away, you're probably pretty fine. But you're making a guy or a girl, and you're trying to put them together, and you start putting them together in the character generator, and you swing to the side, and you can see their scalp.
I was going to ask you if you thought it was more a problem with the character creator, because I didn't notice that as much with the NPCs in the footage. They looked fine. I didn't see any like
right. Well, the
awkward.
game has a buffer around a character you're talking to, so you don't get close to them until you're not talking to them, and they have the same issue. If you come up beside them, you can see it. Yeah, it's still going on, but it's a good distance. I mean, dude, if I came up to you and I didn't know you and I was talking this fucking close, we'd be having words anyway that had nothing to do with the discussion. We'd be like, "What the Johnny? What are you doing?" Rubbing nose together.
Get out of my.
So in the distance is fine. It's just that character creator, and then that makes you think of it, and then you jump into the game, and you're like, "Oh yeah, they are sort of wonky." Also, dude, they're really lean on choices, man. Like the character creator, it's a thing. It works pretty well, and you can create a guy that looks pretty good. But they do that thing that a lot of games are doing now where they're purposely don't. It's almost like back in the day when you did a Gran Turismo before they had damage on cars, and you can't figure out why. And then you find out it's the licensees who are giving cars to these racing games don't want to see their car wrecked. They don't want a Mazda Miata getting wrecked. I swear to God, they don't want these characters looking wrecked. And I want a wrecked looking guy. I want a guy who looks like he's been through a war. I want a dude who's got a slightly
you try to make
face. You can't. Yeah, you can't really make a monster as much as you would want. They have the sliders like for cheeks. The slider for width, dude, I'm telling you, it goes like that's it. And you're like, oh man, seriously? So I still made a guy that I was okay.
Because you wanted like Dark Souls 1 bitch face 2.0.
I just want to be able to have the slider make truly like Steve Buscemi.
Big impact.
Nothing against him, but you have your George Clooney's of the world, and you've got your, Steve Buscemi is not that ugly, but you've got your very unique looking characters in the world.
Sure.
And
he had the slider, like the eye slider.
Right. And so you want something in the, bags, giant eyes, bad teeth. I love the guy. You can't do that. But you can make a generic fighter 101. Also, I wish there were more hairdos. I think it was Rise of the Ronin that let you stack hairdos. You could do like 3 layers. Yeah. And I wish more games would do that. That would be very cool because they didn't do that. But hey, whatever. It is what it is. It's not, didn't cause me to hate the game or anything. In fact, I really enjoyed it. I was just surprised how many people enjoyed it a great deal, because I was like, you got Game Pass for sure. Go and get it. If you're not, check out some other videos. I like it, but you got to know it's Outer Worlds and stuff like that. And you do. You have to know it's Outer Worlds. I mean, it's a different feel. It's definitely a different feel.
Do you think the third person mode is any good? Because we've seen it be a bit like tacked on in a lot of games like Starfield and stuff.
Yeah, I used it. It's not tacked on, but it doesn't feel as useful as, say, Avowed did, because Avowed had the dual wielding magic and a crossbow. So sometimes seeing both of those and where they were in relation to your character seemed cool or felt cool. Not so much this, but it's there. It's there for people who want to do it. It's still got some janky jump and, goofy animations. There's a lot of platforming in this, or sort of a lot. I feel like it was a lot, but it was easy. I mean, it wasn't. There were a couple times where, you'd miss a cliff face or something, but nothing else besides that. But yeah, man, graphically, that game looks good. Fun game. I think a lot of people are going to like it. I can't wait to see their DLC, because there's some really cool stuff that they could do with the DLC. For example, there's some big things that occur that don't, a big thing occurred and you're doing your own thing because yours is massive, trying to save this solar system. Solar system, I guess. Trying to save the system. You have these situations happen and you sort of find out some of the outcome, but you have to move on and go do your stuff. And I'm like, wow, that'd be a really cool experience to go back to that. And whether it be the same character or different ones, see how that's panned out. So that would be awesome. But yeah, good, enjoyable game, good shooting, good performance generally. It's a bit heavy. There's some adjustments you can do that gives you a great deal of FPS right back. But I also noticed some oddities, like it would say, make the setting, hit E to like apply. And the same setting would apply it in one time I was playing. And then I would be playing a different game later, a couple hours later, and I would hit it and nothing would happen. There would be no, it would, and I would back up, but I'd see the change had occurred. It was really weird. It was like, there must be something about where you are and some effect in the game world where in some places when you apply it, it has to do a pause, because you'd get a pause of like 1 second when you hit apply sometimes. And then other times the same exact graphical change, you'd be like apply. And I would wait and go, oh shit, it hasn't stopped. It's still going. And I would back up and
interesting.
So I can't wait to see you play it, man. I will say the females look way better than the males in it, I think. I played a male for my first character, but I think I'll probably play a female for the second one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. The hairdos for the females look better. The guys don't even really they have a crew cut or two, but the females have a lot of really cool curls and like more like space opera hair, because that is sort of what you're playing, is what happens on the opposite side of a space opera. It looks like a space opera from the front, but on the side, it's a disaster. That's sort of the entire game. I liked a lot of the looks for the girls in that, and there were some adjustments you could make that I was like, oh wow, that, they did a good job. But only 2 body types, so you can't create your pudgy space captain, dude who's
dwarf
north of 300 pounds
space captain.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's that, and then Dispatch. Have you seen anything on that?
Yeah, well, I saw your review. I've seen a couple of people play it for a bit. I'm definitely interested in playing it myself.
It's great, man.
I think the presentation of that is sweet.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I haven't really seen anything like that. They also have some really good talent, right, in the voice acting. I think Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad is in there, and they got, they got Alana Pierce, like some other known people. Yeah, so that's cool. I'm excited for that. But more than anything, just the aesthetics looked so cool with the heroes, and some of the banter seemed on point.
Yeah,
I think it's very enjoyable.
I think you'll like it, man, because it mixes golden era comics with edge of like today, which is different than, say, there's just something different. It doesn't feel like The Boys, even though there are moments like The Boys.
It's not that much.
It just doesn't. No, it's not that. It's just that it doesn't feel like The Boys. It feels like it's its own thing, which I think was pretty difficult. Somehow they pulled it off. Also, it's not animation, or it's not anime, which means, super like weird looking bodies, or where there's something about anime, I'm just not a fan of Western style. They aim for the Western
all the body
style.
types and everything are very different.
Yeah. So, dude, there's some awesome scenes in that, and you're doing all this different shit in the first scenes in particular, where like in Commando or Rambo movies, you see a cut scene, or you see a momentary camera cut where like he puts a blade in his chest or whatever, and sort of sheathes his stuff and gets ready for battle. That sort of plays out here, and you're doing the controls. So the controls are a little bit more interactive than they've been in any prior game that I've played for Telltale. I think I've played every single one of them. Yeah. But I will say this. There's no downtime in this. So how some, like Life is Strange, you can stop walking. You can just stop walking. Well, this game doesn't play like that. It's a cartoon or / anime, and then your decisions and your mini games, and then the next part of the anime, that plays in is, so there's no walking around really, and just looking around, which I loved. I don't know if everybody will, but I love that because I felt like I got more.
Absolutely.
Weirdly enough, it wasn't any filler. It was like, boom.
And that was always the awkward part with those games, which is what you described in your review as walking around spamming A to try to interact, and those moments of just awkwardly walking with the fixed camera and like, ooh, can I go here? Like, it's initially might have been cool, but I think invariably it grew very stale tiresome in those games.
Yeah, because you're told no too many times because there's only 6 items that are interactable. This game is like presentation, and then you've got mini games on top of it. Like Solar was streaming it in the Discord, and he's like, holy shit, this strategy game actually has real stuff going on. Like, I did not expect that to occur in this game. And then you have the hacking mini game, and those are the ones in the first in the first episodes. I can't talk about the next two, but in the first two, you get to experience both those. And yeah, they're good. Great voiceovers, great voice work. Some pretty big choices, much larger choices and later that are really cool. There's definitely some really enjoyable stuff that happens in that game. And I liked even the characters I liked because I didn't like them. They were done really well. There was no annoying character. There were characters that you didn't like because of the way they acted, or there were characters that you didn't like because of your character's relationship with them. But there wasn't anybody that I didn't like how they acted. Or sorry, that I didn't like the way they were acted, the way they were voiced. Everybody was really good. And by the way, shout out for Waterboy. Just saying.
Waterboy.
Dude, he's my favorite character in the game, man. I told Solar that, and he's like, why? And I'm like, dude, just keep playing. And he's like, oh my God, this is hilarious. I mean, they really mess around with stuff that you will not expect. It was some great surprises. Yeah. So shout out to him.
So some good writing there too.
Very good writing. Yeah. Because it's not edgy in the edgy sense. I'll just say this. Without spoiling anything, we'll move on. There are times where you see what you would consider to be a tropish character that isn't. And it happens way more than one time. And so you prepare for one thing and you keep sort of watching it going, I'm expecting him or her to do this. And they don't. And you're like, oh my God, they are really like that. That's cool because you know how it is, man. It's everybody wants to have like a surprise. Or in this game is like the surprise is that some of these characters are exactly what you see or what you hear or what have you. You know, they're just that guy. LOL, is he voiced by Adam Sandler? No, he is not. And it's not what you think. I'll just say you need to play the game. It is awesome. Great performance. Looks fantastic. Fun to play. All right. So moving on from there, let's talk about Halo. So there's more rumors about Halo. There's been rumors. This will be like, what, the third year, but supposedly today at about 12:30, I think is what I saw, or maybe noon or something. They're supposed to announce something. The current going rumor for the last couple months has been Halo 1 without multiplayer, I think was what I was told. So, dude, I just need to see it. Need to see the graphics, need to see how it performs. Yeah. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to play Halo again when it looks like what you can deliver today.
Yep.
Which would be awesome.
Remember how they did it with the other remake where you could switch between the old and the new?
So good.
And dude, it was super fun. I would constantly do that and switch back. And like some stuff that were full-on cutscenes in the new one were actually just like in-engine, nobody's moving type thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's really funny.
What's your memories of Halo? Like, did you
So I
play
started with Halo
or?
3, actually. So I never got to the
One
earlier
of the best
ones.
Halos, man. It's a
was
great
really
Halo.
good.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the campaign in that. And I played a lot of multiplayer with friends. Like, local with friends at university on the Xbox. We had a great time. I was terrible at it. And I never learned how to use the I'm blanking on the name now. What's that gun that shoots a lot of
Needler
spikes? Yeah, the Needler. Thank you. I always wanted to use that because I saw people popping off with that in multiplayer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I never got good. Anyway, but so those are my memories. It's like the Needler stuck with me a lot, and then like the sword was super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my jam. That was what I loved about Halo that I experienced was pretty much Halo 3. I haven't really come back to it. Even Infinite, I didn't jump into.
Okay.
So.
Well, I can tell you, Halo 1. Okay, so there's one level that you probably already heard of. If you haven't, we'll just spit it out now. It's called the Library, and this was done. There were some memory constraints.
I've heard so
and some
much
issues.
about this.
Yeah. So here's what's weird about the Library. Even I would love to see it switched. However, I will point something out that Halo the Library may have been made a particular way for a particular reason. But then if you go and query developers who made games after Halo 1, a great deal of them mimicked I guess you would call it the more basic gameplay that occurs in the library in their games, because it ended up actually influencing a shit ton of later games to give it sort of a lull before the climax, which is what the library does. Library, that game you could say has 2 or 3 mini, like mini pops when it comes to their plot. But you would be surprised to hear how many developers grew up playing Halo 1, experiencing the library, and whether they liked the library or not, still sort of coming out of it going, it's nice to have that more, where it's a little bit more basic gameplay so that players just sort of get to a baseline again. They're dropped down back to an emotional baseline a little bit more, and then it pops back up, because otherwise you're just going to keep having to raise the bar. So in a weird way, their issues with it sort of helped them. So we'll have to see. I want to see what you think, because it's hard for me to judge Halo. I will say that in the couple of times I went back to play it, it has still hit a lot of highs for me. And you see some of the plot stuff. I played the remakes. I've gone back and played the original, or a version of the original, many times. And I still feel like its way of delivering data, the unique character, the freeform gameplay really isn't mimicked.
Yeah.
Infinite came very close. Halos have done good or bad, but overall have been the general same feel. There isn't really another game that feels like that. So that excites me. I want to see what you think. If you liked Halo 3, I can't see you not liking Halo 1, because Halo 3 is definitely, I'm trying to think of a movie series where I could tell you so that you know what I mean, but it feels like it's Halo 1 again, even though it's not. There's something about Halo 3 that felt like Halo 1. Maybe it was just the open areas and stuff like that, but yeah, want to see what you think of that. Tech-wise, sounds like Unreal on top of some of their old engine merged together. I think that'll be cool. Performance will be weird. It makes me wonder if it'll be locked 60 or if they'll do a 120 mode, which I believe Infinite had either later or had day one. I can't remember. And then PC mode day one. This will be like Infinite, where it'll come out on the Xbox and the PC right away. Just and hit. So that'll be cool. And you'll be able to see the characters and how they started out. I mean, because some of the stuff that happens in 3 is mimicked from 1 as well. How long ago was it 3 that you played? Or how long ago?
Very long ago.
Like a decade?
I'm dating myself, but probably around the year 2010, maybe?
Okay.
Something like
years,
that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely...
And
go ahead. For sure.
I was just going to say, I played a bit of Halo 2, the remake, like a year ago, or maybe a couple years ago.
What'd you think of that?
A little bit of it was quite well done, the remake. Yeah. And it was fun to switch back, see what the old one was.
Right. Dude, it's crazy because really, as somebody who plays, I feel like almost every first-person shooter out there, they just feel different. And if they vibe with you, they're like, you want to go back. Like every time I think about shooters, it's always there.
Yeah.
The AI is ace. There's a reason why entire GDC conferences are based around it. It works really well. And it just feels like a really good challenge. Also, it's very balanced. There's a couple issues with the highest difficulty, but overall, it's pretty close to being well balanced, meaning you can get through stuff. Even a newbie who turns it up too high, it's just not... It's not punishing in a way that feels cheap. It's punishing in a way that's like, okay, these are glass grenades exploding in the side of Master Chief. They probably
it feels
would kill
pretty
him.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Quite tough at times, but pretty fair.
Pretty fair, yeah. And then because of the physics-based combat, or sorry, I didn't mean it that way, but physics-based and larger open area, the stuff you can do is crazy. For example, we used to know exactly where we could throw a grenade so that it would blow up a Jeep and most likely hit an enemy that was really hard to defeat. So once you figure that out, you'd have guys coming in and being like, boom, 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 and then run around the area and then hit that grenade, and that would throw the truck up and kill a guy, and you'd have the third player leaping into, or the second player leaping into the back of the truck as it landed, because they were so accustomed to how they because you could literally sort of repeat the science experiment in the game.
Yeah.
And that to me is awesome. You just don't see that in almost any game. You have like Call of Duty's very rigid, Battlefield very rigid, Killzone was still rigid. Halo's like shit moves around when you blow it up. Let's see what happens. And you get some weird stuff, but yeah, it's awesome. I think you'll like it. Oh. Wild Zone says, with all the reviews you're doing, it seems like you're all over the place with genres. How has that been over the review process? Awesome. Yeah, other than the dual embargo bullshit, I will definitely choose to do a couple unique games. But the dual embargo stuff fucking sucked. Every good plan falls apart. Plan is just a list of things that do not happen in a row. At least it seems like that with reviewing.
So basically, if you don't hit like day one for the release, it just tanks the video, right?
It actually does harm to the channel now, like very real trackable harm, because websites or other people giving codes look at your last 5 videos and average them. So I'm helping somebody put together a website to give codes to, gamers, and I went there and showed it my last because of the 2 secondary embargoes, and I posted it. And it quite literally was like, you do not meet the view requirement. And I was like, interesting. Yeah. It went from about 250,000 average to about 45,000 average because 2 of them cratered. Because what you do is you feed the algo, I'm day 1. These particular watchers want to watch it day 1. These are particular times, and these are the people you need to send it to. And I need to be on these recommended because I just do reviews for the most part. Podcast is moved, and then I do the preview and I do the monthly. When you do second, it looks horrible because a guy who comes a month later to look at your reviews goes, Carrick released a Vampire the Masquerade video, but it did terribly. He must suck. Even though mine might have come a week later, YouTube doesn't say a week and 1 day later. It says a month later. So there is absolutely no way, unless they dive in and look at the exact time posted and then compare it to every other video to verify that embargo date, because it'd be a different company, they wouldn't know, then it arbitrarily smashes the channel. And so you'll get people going, well, he must have dropped off or something. He must suck because normally his videos are here and this one is like 2,000. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I showed you, or I posted the link of the views on the one that was like at 19,000 or something. Now, if I did other videos where people were expecting, like if I did, reviews take a long time. That's why most people don't just do reviews anymore. They start doing other stuff so they can keep. Right now, that's sort of what I'm doing.
More lower effort stuff.
Yeah. If you do a bunch of stuff that's like just getting people, then they'll see it more often, and you'll also get a different type of YouTuber watcher. So, for example, review watchers don't always go and look until they know the embargo comes up. So they'll wait for that, and if you're late, they'll be like, "Oh, he's not." I guess
Carrick is not doing one.
Yeah, it arbitrarily really damages shit, and that's why I did the Substack, because I was like, man, I just got to get this off my chest, because in the embargoes and everything, they'll say no reviews of any kind can be shown before this date. So when I uploaded the video, I was like, well, I'm going to go and check to see if the developer talked about anything. And I open it up and I'm like, there's reviews everywhere. What's going on? And then I go and I spend an hour looking at my embargo, got my wife in. I'm like, could you tell me, am I losing my mind? Doesn't this say tomorrow in the email? She's like, yeah, it says tomorrow. Okay. And it says, under no circumstances, no reviews can be posted before this date, right? Right. So I'm like, okay, something broke, and they forgot to tell me.
So you can't even know, actually,
right?
That this is going to happen.
Shady part with the dual embargo thing. Because of the way embargoes are written, it's actually doubly bad because you can't check. And they're very clear, so you assume they are clear. Yep. Now, admittedly, one of these companies wasn't the publisher. They were a secondary company who gave me the code. They didn't know. They contacted me and were like, we had no clue that this was a different date. Like, there was no indication
maybe even
whatsoever.
For them,
because for them,
they're
they
having
were given the secondary
separation.
date. Yeah, which I'm sure is causing issues behind the scenes too. But yeah, what a debacle. But that's enough business.
Yeah, man. That's rough.
Moving on from there, Halo. Like I said, 12, so we should be in here when that news pops. I hope we're in here, because I want to see what it is. Do we have any guesses? Anybody in chat or you? any guesses on like maybe a special thing that this one has? Maybe something that this Halo has that others didn't. Like, let's see, what could they do that would be mind blowing?
Like the grapple they did in Infinite.
Sorry, yeah, that too. Or maybe editor day one, something crazy like that would be great. You know, get editor support, Forge support like instantly with a bunch of new. Well, you know, that is the thing, Johnny. Unreal. It's going to have Unreal support. I mean, you can mod it regardless because it's Unreal. So you have at least that, right? Now the Pink Master Chief, Sprint. Yeah, some people seem to really hate Sprint. Didn't bother me. Didn't really change much for me, but I do understand that if one had Sprint, it would feel weird. Later games didn't bother me so much. Thanks for subscribing, sir. I want Halo 3 remastered. Bick Boyk says. So do I. That would be great. Yeah, that would be awesome. What else?
By the way, the walking video was awesome. I love watching those like in the background.
Which one?
Like the ones you do where you're just like walking in the world. So you did one for Ghost, which actually did pretty well for views considering it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know, so that was cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed those because it's not really how most of us experience the game. Most of us are just running to places.
Right. Yeah.
Not really. It's kind of cool sometimes to just watch it like that and see how much you can also miss when you're not looking at stuff.
Yeah, the walking one is enjoyable, but I think for a lot of people, the walking one also probably they just aren't interested in, you know, the slow watching somebody just walk through a game. I love it,
dude,
but
a lot of people watched it, man.
Yeah.
It's like 15K views or something.
That's actually super low, but I appreciate you saying that's good. That's like the old ones would get 380,000, but I was also doing study that I just don't have time for right now. Milad says, anyone tried the Pacific Drive DLC that just got shadow dropped? No, see, man, I haven't. It looks awesome. I checked a little bit out of it, watching somebody stream it. It looks like sort of an episode of Supernatural. It not in that it looks like that, but that it just feels like an additional thing to do and a quest and a cool story. Super excited, and it's free or not free, but it's on Game Pass too. So a bunch of people right now are playing it on Game Pass. Yeah, very cool. That game was so good, man. That game, game had no right to like be as enjoyable or vibish as it did. Man, it hit me. It just it felt so good.
Yeah.
Loved it. Are you going to do you think you'll return to the DLC or?
Probably not. It's tough for me to return to games because there's so many like current and new games that I'm trying to get to.
Right.
That it's pretty tough for me to find an opening. Because usually I experience a game and when I stop playing, it's because I'm like, I've had a good amount of enjoyment with that game and I don't necessarily want to keep playing for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I would say when it comes down to it, it's hard to return to these, and DLC is even harder, especially if you spend a bunch of time in the first one. Sometimes you're like, oh man, I don't really want to jump back in there. Don't really want to do that. But Robert says, you excited for Season Pass 3 of Age of Wonders? So I don't have the season pass for Age of Wonders. I just buy it out. I just buy the stuff outright, which is sort of ridiculous cost wise, but I believe they deserve it. Their Age of Wonders is, I'll go with the pun. It is wondrous. It is
wondrous,
fucking amazing. Yeah. Age of Wonders is it's everything, not everything, but it's a lot of things I've always wanted from a turn-based.
Yeah, I've been super tempted to go in because they're on a sale too, or at least they were.
Yeah,
like 50% off.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's hard to describe how good it is. But with the turn-based strategy games, I have a tendency after a while to just feel like everything's mechanical. And this game, it's almost like they put just as much work into the fantastical and the fiction and systems that feed back into the fiction as they did the actual gameplay. And it's just one of those games that you're playing going like, what, all the time. There's some new thing being thrown at you or some new gameplay mechanic that reminds me of when I was a kid saying, this would be cool if some game did this, and they do it. Age of Wonders does it, which is just awesome. All right. What do we got for some more topics? What do you got, Johnny? Got any specific topics?
So, yes. See here. Sorry, I'm trying to get the exact. Yeah, there we go. So I had a little bit of like an evergreen topic, but I think it's a good time to get your take on this, which is about game discovery. So, remember how it used to be where, you know, you would discover this gem and it's like, oh my God, you know, this is an incredible game.
Yeah.
And it's like big spotlight on that game. And now we have so many games coming out, many of them great at the same time. What do you think that game discovery is now at an all-time high, that it's really easy to discover amazing games? Or is the saturation actually making it more difficult to even pick what to play and maybe causing you to miss a lot of great games too? Where do you view game discovery now?
I think for you and I, it's probably easier to find a good game, whether it be you or I or another viewer. For developers, it's way worse. And I think it's actually a problem, and I don't quite know like what they're going to do to fix it. I think we're sort of screwed when it comes to discovery from the developer side. Steam's had no end of issues, really understanding how to do like true discovery. And there's so many games on Steam, obviously. That's, not anybody's fault. That's just the excellence of it. Xbox, PlayStation, the same thing. Discovery is difficult for developers. But for gamers, it's pretty easy. Like we can just... there's so much news and stuff. The only thing I've noticed is parsing new news is hard. So like just parsing the new news. If I go to a website and I look at something, it's just blah. It's just games, new game. Look at Reddit. They do in Reddit games. I know everybody hates that, but I'm just going to point out that in Reddit games on Sunday, they let all the indie guys post. I think it's not just indies. I could be wrong. It might just be indies, but they post a shit ton of trailers. So Sunday, if you have a watcher that's watching Reddit or you're using their RSS feed, that thing is going to fill up with 60, 70, 80 trailers every single Sunday. That is way too much for a person to parse. It's just, and then let's say 3 minutes per trailer. You're talking many hours of sitting there trying to watch all these trailers. So it's a good,
dude,
and there's great games. But
even Steam Fest,
Fest
they do all the demos.
Yeah.
It's really overwhelming because I go in there and I'm trying to parse, okay, what is something I might be interested in? Like you said, if you watch a video, it's going to be, a ton of time. Your video was like a half hour, right?
Yeah.
And you only selected a subset, obviously, of stuff. Like when you're trying to parse through everything, it's really difficult because everything is given the same
level of importance
too, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So it used to be like we talked about Game Pass in the earlier days where they had one indie in the month. That's like, boom, spotlight on that. That's special. That's a sort of curated view of what's hot. And now we don't really have that because we have a bunch of stuff hitting Game Pass, hitting
30
Steam,
games
blah, blah, blah.
or something. When they did the price adjustment, it was like 30 games in one day.
Right.
It's like, boom.
So now it's like, okay, where do you put the spotlight? Because you may have a big overlap of liking many genres. You might like RPGs, but also like roguelites, blah, 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 Souls, you name it. And then you might have like 3 that popped in the same month and one you missed because you just didn't get to the demo. You didn't get to the trailer.
You can tell by looking at the review embargoes just for the last 5 or 6 games. 2 were on the same day within 3 hours of each other. And that was 2 of 9 that I got offered codes that would have ended on that day. That's ridiculous.
I had to check, like, did Carrick mess up the scheduling? Because these popped, like,
and YouTube's the only channel in the world that I know of, or at least the only place in the world that quite literally penalizes you for uploading good content. Because if you do 3 things, anything,
2 in a row,
even the post I did today telling people on our channel that we were streaming, that is counted as 1, and you have 3. And once you get past 3, it's considered spam. And it will stop showing it to people even more than it already stopped showing. And you're just like, dude, what? So when I get like heads up from a developer about a code, I will like put that email out, and then I'll put another one out, and I'll put another one out, and like look at dates and go, so we have the podcast on Fridays. So that means, 1 post is going to be eaten up by that. So I can't do 2 on Friday, or I can't do 3 on Friday. I can do 1 on this day, but then Tuesdays I want to do, dude. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And every channel's facing that, meaning now GameSpot or somebody like that big, or Game Trailers, they're just going to release and deal with it via name. But I'm a reviewer, so it's a different ball game. So you can
different world.
Release a bunch of stuff and just be fine with it. But for me in particular, it is painful because the reviews are 40 to 60 hours or something, so that you've tied
But I
up.
think the stuff you do with the games of the month and what other people do, the curation is really useful, actually, as a service.
I just wish they could be longer.
Sure, yeah. But even then, keeping it short is also nice, because then you are having to be a bit more selective, I guess.
Yeah.
At least to me, when I watch it, I'm like, okay, out of everything Carrick has seen, these are the ones that stuck with him the most. And given what I know about you, games you like, that, there's some overlap with stuff that I like too, I know there's a good chance there's going to be stuff in there for me. You know what I mean? I think that's a big value. It's a big value.
I distinctly thought about doing one where I'm like, I don't know what to call it, but one that is on a different day that's, like shorter, or that's called like tons of games of next month or whatever, and do it on a different day, because you have to do it on like the 18th to 20th to get views. Otherwise, people aren't going to look for a November list if they're already in fucking November, right? All my stuff is evergreen, and I do have to, or not evergreen. I do have to fix that. I do need to figure out ways to do non-evergreen content.
More
at
evergreen?
Some point. Yeah, I need stuff that's more evergreen, meaning it can be looked at a year later or whatever. But even what you and I are talking about, if I were to do that video, it would end on the day of the next month instantly. When it comes to views, you might get,
by definition, right?
Yeah, I've seen those go 24 views in 48 hours once you're in the month. So they just,
and that is the same problem with news. Like some other channels do news as well, and those are also by definition.
Yeah, by definition, those are pretty
transitory.
Yeah,
they're gone.
Transitory. Right? Yeah, definitely. They're good for going back and seeing if things happened. But Bob 2, $10 super chat. This is interesting. This is something Solar and I were just talking about last night. He says, this is weird. It's almost our exact wording. Can we start a petition that allows villains to be villains? We don't need a story explaining why we should understand or feel sorry for them. I want evil dudes doing evil things. Yeah, I mean, Hell Is Us is a good example of a game where evil dudes are doing evil things and there is no backstory. It's sort of just the emergence of war. I love the idea of letting bad guys be bad and good guys be good as well. It's why I hated what was it, 5, where they were pretending Master Chief might be a bad guy. And I'm like, dude, you guys have lost the plot completely on Halo. Like, what people liked about Halo was a faceless hero that no matter what, dude, one of the games ends with him saying, wake me when you need me. That means that guy legitimately sleeps to keep, his fucking body the way it is, so that when you need him, he comes out.
Yeah.
I don't need this wake me when you need me, but I might be a bad guy. I might be against whatever we're trying to do. Gears of War started to do
Not everything needs a duality to it.
Dude, Gears of War, the great thing about Gears of War was guy who had a troubled past, good guy now, gets called out to be a gear of war, to be chewed up in the machinery of war. You're like, okay, great. That's all we need. That's all we fucking need. I don't need these moralizing patterns for everything. I just want that guy go. That's, by the way, I don't care if people fucking hate him. I like him. There's a reason why people like Call of Duty versus Battlefields campaigns most of the time. I'm not saying either one are great, but many times you're going to hear people liking the general gist of a Call of Duty campaign more than Battlefield because Battlefield likes to get in the morals of the main character, and they do it all the time. Where with what I feel like with Call of Duty, many times it's other people doing stuff to him. Now, he's not always a good guy, but it's usually they're trying to fix something. And yes, they can be mentally messing you up with the Black Ops and stuff like that. But it's still a guy who's like, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to like fix this shit. I need to go out there and fix stuff. And
yeah,
instead, you've got all these guys who want to inject all this other shit into it. And you're like, dude, sometimes I want to wrap myself with a flag made of armor and fuck people up. That's all I want. And I don't, and have the bad guy be so bad. By the way, this is a big hot take. It's why I hated being able to play the Arbiter in Halo. I want the bad guys to, I don't need to understand that a bad guy might be thinking differently. I don't care because guess what? Ultimately, it turned into nothing anyway. It still regurgitated itself back into Halo and the Flood and Master Chief. So, I mean, you have some parts with him, but it didn't really change the scope.
Well, and it feels a bit forced. Like they are, deliberately trying to create and exploit the, this other side. It's also similar to another theme that's very common, which is good and bad people on both sides. So they will portray some type of war, and they will make a point to show you all the time that like there's good people on one side, bad people on that side, and the same on the other side. I feel there's a lot to be said about a story where there's clearly a good side too.
Yeah.
Without feeling the need to normalize.
I think the other thing is, as the saying goes, there are no alignments when bullets start to fly. And that's the way I feel. I'm on this team, bullets are flying. I'm not going to look if you're chaotic neutral. Fuck you.
True.
I'm going to shoot you. You're red,
shooting me. You got a
blue.
red bar.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
That's what I don't need to be. I don't need a 5-hour long diatribe by some villain about how the government fucked him over. Yeah, we get it. Okay, you were fucked over, but somehow by fucking everybody else over, you're fighting. You're literally feeding right back in to the exact thing. The easiest way, in fact, just so you know, think about it this way: the easiest way for a villain in almost all these shooter games to do better and fix things would be to off themselves. Quite literally, that would be the easiest way, would be to off themselves. And you're never going to see that. It wouldn't even be a game. Can you imagine Call of Duty? The main bad guy shows up and he's like, the government messed me up, man. They've been doing this shit. And then it's just like, game over. Thank you for playing. Well, Modern Warfare 3 was pretty fucking short. It was like 3 hours for the campaign. So it came close. Let's see. Oh, people are talking about Pacific Drive. Not Bad Company 2. That had a lot of humor. Exactly. That's why I literally just said that's how you notice in the games that don't do that. I mean, there's a reason why that's the only one that people remember. Like, it's legitimately the reason. Nor Imposter Sec 20. What's Sec? What did we figure out that was? Sec. Suck.
That is
Swedish. Kroner.
Maybe Swedish? Yeah.
We do this all the time. I miss dumb FPS without a moral compass. Yeah. Same. But just go back to Discovery. I don't know how we got on this diatribe, but back to Discovery.
Well, yeah, we started talking about curators and, people narrowing down.
Releases.com is a great website for this. Releases.com lets you sort by the month, the day, platforms, video games, movies, TV shows, and then you can also have it send you alerts, plus you can vote on the ones that you're interested in, which lets other people know by looking at the tiles. They can see like Bad Company pop up, and they can see more thumbs up, and they can, sort of arbitrarily
Do you
identify.
think AI can help with this? Can I call an agent to look at all the games I've played on Steam and be like, hey, I'm in the mood for this?
Reg already has that built in, so do I. We've messed with those.
Does he?
Yeah, you can be like, I want to know the genre. I want to know the hours spent in those games, and then identify which ones those are, and then also, suggest me more. And many websites,
look at new releases and,
and many
find me
websites, if you
something.
hit like recommend, they're doing it behind the scenes. They may not want to tell you because the current zeitgeist is that AI of any kind, we need to go back to
AI
like
bad.
NASA computers
Yep.
and that where we landed on the moon, where it's a calculator.
Yeah.
AI bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, many of them use it for sure. Yeah, it's definitely something you can either, I mean, shit, there's probably a ton of apps that allow for that because releases.com is fantastic. And I don't think it's using anything. It's more parsed data, but it also can't find what's not in its database. So you're only going to get whatever they show. And it's like OpenCritic. Sometimes I'll review a game and I'll go to OpenCritic and I'll say, hey, I want to upload this review. And they're like, what game? Because the database hasn't scraped and got that game from somewhere. So, but
that looks cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah, you should check it out. I think you'll like it. Yeah. Releases is a great website for just jumping in and checking it out. Nor says, and it tells you when something is delayed. Does it? Does it really? Because that's very useful. Man, you know what? I do remember it saying that. Holy shit. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we're going to be dealing with this for ages where people are like, or pretending like, I was just talking to somebody, I'm not going to say who, but we were just talking about it and somebody brought up AI and they were like, do people not realize that I can't even say because you'll instantly be able to tell right away who I'm talking about, but I'll just say a particular group working on a particular thing has been using AI for 20 years. It was a hard-coded AI, but it was still fuzzy logic. It was still generating stuff that a person would normally generate. And it's just like, dude, yeah, the lack of knowledge around the whole thing is ridiculous. I heard somebody say, this was crazy a couple weeks ago. In fact, we were talking about the Halo leak. And I brought up that I loved the AI in Halo, and I had a bunch of people pissed. And I was like, no. The AI, the artificial intelligence of the game characters I like. And they were like, yeah, that's stealing people's jobs. And I was like, wow, man.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, end of conversation. Yeah.
Maybe didn't have a starting of a conversation at that point. You know, maybe you go back and just assume you were both grunting into your keyboards because goddamn, there's some next level stupid.
Well, dude,
we're gonna have to figure it out.
Speaking of games using AI, though, Krafton, which is the publisher for PUBG and Subnautica, are investing almost $70 million in building a GPU cluster that they're gonna use to, help develop games. And do all this stuff. So that's really interesting. That's a massive investment for those guys. And
remember, they saved,
that looks like
supposedly saved the guys who are working for Microsoft. And Microsoft did pay for them to continue making the game because they were already on the chopping block before Microsoft bought the main company. These guys went to Krafton, and now Krafton's like AI. One of the biggest problems currently going on is that only America, Europe, are the two that want to stop AI or look at trying to figure out AI. Every other nation is absolutely go ahead, and they will just flood the market. And I would say if we came up with rules or ideas and generalizations around its use, it would be better to have a group doing that than no rules at all, which is currently what like Krafton and stuff like that'll do. Remembering that those guys are also, those kind of companies are also copy farms. You ever seen the videos of the influencer farms? You ever seen the videos of that? Were you in chat when I was talking about that? No. So you can go online, you can see this on YouTube. There's an actual list of people and their basically Twitter names, and what it is a bunch of rooms that look like bedrooms, but they're in a massive complex. They're in a warehouse, and they pretend like they're girls at home streaming stuff naturally, but they're actually selling stuff on the back end. And they go into work, and it's a fake home, and they basically industrialized Twitter in that way. So it would be like some of these Twitter houses. I don't know if you remember those. They're not so big anymore, but where 5 or 6 people who are big on Twitter would rent a house, and they would all put their studios in the house. That sort of died out pretty quick. But at the time, especially because competition, people don't like competition. Living with a competitor, if you guys got close, I think that would cause people to have some beef. But that was what, 10 years ago when I saw that video, 10, 12 years ago, that they're going to industrialize AI and stuff. It's just going to be, we need some rules for it, but it's not going to happen. I think we're screwed on that fact. I think that other nations are going to go, there's no rules. And they already show us by copying Horizon Zero Dawn that they'll do it. Yeah, and they don't care. I mean, why should they, in a way? What I mean by that is they're not even the same kind of style of creator or whatever. So why should they? And I'm not talking about your indie creator from a different nation who definitely is thinking like you and I are thinking, where shit needs to be controlled. I'm talking about, money farms. I mean, let's be honest. How many times have we seen shit slip by? Loot crates turned into gacha quite easily, and people sucked it up. And all of the big hubbub around that sort of died out. And now we're back into the same, we're sort of in the same boat as we were before, which sucks. But I guess you and I can talk about it and stuff like that. But it's like, that's all that's really happening. I mean, outside of this, whenever I talk to really good friends who love video games and mention any of this, they're like, what? Why wouldn't you use it? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. There's just no knowledge about it, I guess, outside of that. But we'll have to see how it goes. What else we got for news?
So Remedy CEO stepped down.
Dude,
this was
I know.
Tero Virtala. And stepped down immediately. There wasn't a ton of data that I could find about it. They got an interim replacement person. And it says here the change comes after a recent profit warning following the underperformance of FBC Firebreak. That's unfortunate. That one didn't do very well. And
it is, but they got to
their stuff doesn't sell very well.
No, dude. They got to figure it out. I don't know if the CEO had a part in whatever's going on, but they need help, man. They need somebody who's coming fresh out of college with an accounting degree to go figure out
how do we market this shit. We got some good games.
Dude, I still firmly believe Alan Wake was pretty bloated, Alan Wake 2. And that I don't know what to cut, but I feel like some of the stuff that was bloated was not only bloated, it was costly bloated. Does that make sense? It's not bloated in the way you might hear about a game with an extra checkpoint up on a cliff that you go find.
Like it could hurt your enjoyment at some point.
Or it could that 5-minute thing, which I think people know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to spoil it because I do think it's important that people play that game, and we're coming up on Halloween. But there's some stuff that's pretty big in that game. Time. That is like
overall great game. I think you agree.
But I just want to point out real quick, the thing I'm talking about is the 5 or 10 minute thing that occurs.
Yeah.
At a certain
right.
Yeah. I just want to say that probably cost a shit ton of money.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah, in moments like that dragged on, in different like pain points.
Pain points. Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's a good.
Which I think also sums up the combat in general.
Pain
point, is a good description in general
rough.
of like.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's very rough, man.
Nor says.
Go ahead. Yeah. No, just reliving my memories of the dodge and still getting hit despite dodging stuff.
Yeah. Nor super chat 20 sec. I miss dumb FPS without a moral compass. Me as well. Also, 20 sec says, do you think anyone was going to snap up Remedy? So here's the thing. No, nor do I want anybody to snap up Remedy that they don't want. I do think if they want to work under somebody, they should. And I would love to see consumers be less worried about that. And what I mean by that is not to stop worrying if it's like a buyout that's, hostile. But if Remedy wants to work with somebody, whether it be Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, anybody, let them do it. They, by the way, just so you know, some of the companies we just talked about have interest in Remedy and have invested in them. Some of the companies that are questionable. So, but the end result is I want them to make money, man, because I like their games. It's purely selfish.
Yeah.
I
Because
fucking
we've
love Alan
seen,
Wake, man.
Even companies that do make money go away. So I'm really quite scared for their future,
Yeah.
given that even the games that do well critically,
And you know what's funnier? The couple of times they've teamed up, they've done better than when they went on their own. So it feels to me like they have a particular, I'm not going to say who, anybody can guess. I am assuming the visionary idea costs so much money and no one says no because that person runs it and that's their right to run it. Even if they run it into the ground, it's their right to run it. It sucks for employees, but we can't sit here and talk about independence and then remove it. And we can't sit here and talk about everything being bad when some companies get saved by other companies that buy them. It absolutely happens. It's not, by the way, anybody who says they want bad guys to just be bad, when it comes to video game stuff, it's exact opposite. Most of the time, there's good and bad in everything. Working independent, working in a team, working in a group, working for a major conglomerate, working independent. It's all luck of the draw, dude. I mean, how many times have you and I seen a good game? A fucking great game. Like Hell Is Us. I don't know what it sold. That game is the experience game of the year. I'm not saying it's game of the year. I'm saying as an experience, that might be one of the best experiences as a game I've had in maybe 5 years. Where I'm like, holy shit, this is so different in how it's just blinders off, man. It's like, fuck you. You're going to have to see the way the real world is, even though it's a fantasy world, but see the way war can affect people and stuff like that. Boom, we're aiming down the sights. They might crater, right? Who knows what they'll sell? Focus. We've seen Plague Tale and stuff like that. It's like, do they sell well? Do they make their money back? Are those guys safe? Are they safe now with raising prices? Are they, and then you have people feeding back. We don't want any games going up in cost. And then the developer looks and goes, but this costs more. So what do? Gotcha. Can't do micros because we've stopped that, which, by the way, or we've stopped the loot boxes, sorry. And we wouldn't want in those games. So you have that tit for tat on everything. I was just talking to a developer about their releases in a group I'm in. And it was the type of mental gymnastics and understanding of what was going on that you would see in a big project lead like you or I work with, software lead, somebody who's on time. You ever had that project manager who you could call him at 3 a.m. and be like, on line 407, there's a mistake in the syntax. He's like, yeah, I know that line. The John Carmack of leads hangs up and it's fixed. There's very few people like that, but they do exist.
Yeah.
And it feels like those people are also leaving. I know somebody who there's a couple who announced that they're leaving in the last 3 or 4 months from big companies, and it's because
those are irreplaceable.
They're irreplaceable.
Actually,
yeah. Do you know why? Because they pass on to you. You know it. You had a mentor, I'm sure. At some point, you had somebody who was there who was like, Johnny, you're having an issue here, or Johnny, good job on this. Here's how to continue that good job. They can be both sides. And if those people leave, the entire feeling of something goes away. Ever had a great team and the leader goes, and about a week later, that team it's not just them gone. There's something that changes, it just like slowly over time.
A lot of times, hopefully you preserve some of the culture, right? Because people naturally enact what they observe, right? So if they have like a strong leader, many of the qualities will stick around through like osmosis. Like people will just absorb that. But you can't really replace that one person having the entire vision of what they're trying to do in the context of both technical and, business side and everything.
Norse says he loved Quantum Break. Yeah. And the thing is, now we're looking at a time where like one mistake can crater somebody. I mean, crater them. We saw that with who recently, well, not recently, but about a year and a half ago, leveraged themselves to a point, ends up having a game that didn't even really crater as much as I guess you would consider it middle grounded. Company's gone. Just gone. Whoosh. And any company can have that. Any company in the world can have that happen now, because It's not the way it used to be where there was a safety net of investor money or interest. That is gone. It is, and that is backed up by not only statistics that you can look at across the board, but it's not just our industry, which games. It's not just games.
Well, that ties into something else I wanted to talk to you about, which is, I don't know why, but I've been seeing a lot of videos and pieces saying in different wording, Assassin's Creed is cooked. You just see this pop up a lot.
Oh, because of the guy leaving?
There was that, and then mostly talking about how Shadows was mid. But I want to hear from you, like, what's where do you think AC is at? Are they in a healthy spot? Is the franchise in danger, do you think, of continuing? Because, like, there's been from some people, like, a rough reception to the game. I think overall it's sold really well, though. That's some of the disconnect that I see. I see these videos pop up and people complain about it. But then I think the sales are also pretty good. So what do you make of that? Where do you think they're at with the franchise?
Well, the main guy did leave, and so that was one of the people I was talking about that, like, takes some of the energy with them. You could say that it's possible that taking that energy with them might revitalize it, but if you revitalize Assassin's Creed too much, you get not Assassin's Creed, you get something else, which then you have just the same 50-50 chance of hitting or not, right? You have the exact same chance of it not working out. We saw it with Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell's initial sales for the first couple games were incredibly high. And I was showing people the sales numbers in the Discord when we were in the chat. And then I showed it in general. Those later ones were horrendous. And they weren't horrendous for a lack of quality, or at least a lack of pretty good quality or good quality. Some were actually rated quite well and people seem to like and are really rated very positive. It's just that for whatever reason, whether it be release time or what have you, they just weren't capturing the moment. I think AC has like 9 different issues, and I think that in that way I wouldn't say cooked, because they've shown that they can do Valhalla, which to me is a game that is might not be the worst of the new 4, but is definitely, if it's above Origins, it's barely above Origins. Odyssey being the one that I think is just generally, for the most part, rated the highest, whether individuals dislike it or not. It seems to be the one that people are like, wow, that was a game, right? That was fantastic. It was a surprise in its location. It felt good. Dude, I don't know. Ubisoft is in a weird place. Remember that during COVID, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla in particular, is their top selling game of all time, billions of dollars, and yet their stock didn't go up or down, which is one of the sort of went down, which is one of the reasons they want to get out of the stock market, because people report that like it means something. So for example, look at what just happened with AMD. Something randomly was said and their stock shot up. And the reason why is a lot of people want to make money right now. A lot of natural investors look at those things as, I want to get onto the next NVIDIA. I want to leap on. So you get this. And by the way, there is a reason, a very real reason, why the stock market has some checks and balances when things get too volatile, that they will actually curb purchasing and selling. They'll be like, this is too volatile. This is like, you're going to destroy a company, because whenever it gets bad, you'll almost always have more sellers. Here's why. Because it doesn't, basically you can't continue to buy high. There's only a certain amount of money in the world. So when it goes like this, at this point, people go, I'm out. I can't handle this up and down. Craters a company.
Yeah.
So you do have some checks and balances in the stock market. I don't think they're cooked, because Shadows is considered by many to be a little bit more of a return to form in enjoyment, not in the format, but in enjoyment. Seems like it did very well. It raised their subscriptions. We don't know how many, but I think a lot of people assumed Shadows people would buy. But I think a great number of people, at least what I saw in the, we've got a 1,200 person, we've got a couple 12,000, but you have some Discords where a majority of them didn't know what to expect, so they did the subscription to play it.
Yep. Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah. So, and that isn't a sale. That's a different. They do their books
Different
and
number.
their numbers different. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I personally, from what I saw from Shadow's reception, it was a great deal higher than I expected, and it kiboshed a lot of the negativity that initially people thought Shadows would have, and it ended up doing better. But I think the thing I saw was somebody was trying to say that because Ghost of Tsushima sold as many in a smaller time, it meant Assassin's Creed was. That's the one I saw, and that didn't make any sense. You don't magically fire every wide receiver if they're not the fastest wide receiver in the NFL. This is a little bit like when people say, "Oh, because this console doesn't sell as many as the other, immediately it's dead." It's not only not how it works, it's one of the worst ways ever you would handle a business, because we've all been in second place. Can you imagine if you were in second place at your business and you were like, "I'm done. I can't be. I'm not first place. I'm done." It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any logical sense at all. So, I don't think so, but I don't know where it goes from here, because Japan was the break glass, get out of jail location. And it did it pretty well. What I see is a major place for them to succeed, which is those mini mission ones. You've got the witchcraft one, Hex. You've got the Aztec one, and you have I don't think the third one has leaked or been out yet, but you've got those. I could see people, for example, Mirage. Mirage might have been a little hedgy in its reception, but you look at it and you're like, okay, I see what they're doing. They're doing these side ones. Those could be fun, and those could do well. If you have one great success on a side one, you are making good money, very good money.
Yeah.
And also they have a Switch 2, which is the Switch 2. I don't think people realize that the Switch 2 opens up a completely different pyramid of sales that you never had with the Switch 1, because they quite literally could not do them very well on the Switch 1.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, that too.
That's why Shadows was announced on the Switch, was because
and that's big. We've seen even huge. Cyberpunk sell incredible numbers on the Switch too, which would be unexpected, older game.
Outlaws performed great on I'm sorry, I don't know about sales. I meant the technically
on the Switch too.
Yeah, I was quite surprised.
I mean, it's sitting above 80% on OpenCritic. I think that's a pretty good score for that game, for Shadows. And we know that Mark, the guy, who stepped away from the role, he didn't do it because he wanted to. He has stated that it was, Ubisoft asking for him to step aside.
Yeah.
And they're making some changes, right? They had that new subsidiary, I think they founded recently, to also work in AC and Far Cry and stuff. So they're definitely still investing into it. I don't think they're cooked at all. I think, in fact,
more into it. I think what people. Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Continue.
No, you go on. I mean, I was going to say that too.
No, I guess I'm just agreeing right now. We'll have to see how another one does, but yeah. I mean,
because they've been quite consistent, man. Even Valhalla, like you said, arguably people didn't like it as much, right?
It was the highest as all the others by 2 times.
It sold really well, and at the end of the day, like, if it sells well, man, so that's a big thing too. But for one thing or another, they've been pretty damn consistent with making stuff that sells.
Yeah, and making stuff that overall, I would say, when I play the Assassin's Creed games, I genuinely, for the most part, enjoy them. There's definitely technical issues. Unity had them. Valhalla had them.
They might not be games that I complete. Like, I think Valhalla I definitely completed, but I don't think I completed... not Valhalla. Odyssey.
Yeah.
Odyssey definitely completed that. I didn't complete Valhalla or Origins, but I had a great time with them. And I still bought them, and I still thought it was a great purchase, So even if people say, "Oh, these aren't the best games," to me, that's still a successful business, right? You're selling these games, and they're
Can you imagine if we only allowed a game to be good if you completed it and it sold well? Just arbitrarily adding on another random rubric.
Yeah. It's the challenge runs.
Nor 20 sec. All the publishers with subs are in FAFO. I don't know what FAFO means. Do you know what FAFO means?
FAFO. I know FIFO, which is first in, first out, but
first ass, first outage.
Fuck around and find out, apparently.
Oh, every developer's that way right now. Yeah, that's not just. But I do agree. Yes, well, Microsoft is making a shit ton of money. So they're if that's supposed to be a negative, then I think they've come out of it and been like, hey, it's done fine.
Yeah.
Would they like it to do more? Yeah, but they also, I would say before they're in it, I would say they're less in it now. I would say they were in it when they were suggesting they would get 100 million subscribers or something, where you're just looking at subscriptions going. And by the way, when the subscription service is turned on, there wasn't a subscription for every goddamn thing. There's a beanie subscription that a website is like, hey, we know you like beanies. Do you want a beanie? We will
send you a beanie every month.
I was like, fuck off, man. Fuck off. That makes no sense. But no, I would say they pretty much know exactly where they are right now. And they're probably doing pretty well. I mean, in the way that they want to do well and have readjusted for now. But just like any normal company, any normal thing, it's rough. Try to do a subscription now, it's rough. I have a subscription for Patreon, technically, right? You would call that a subscription. And it does rough. It does really rough. Do you know how my subscription does well on Patreon? The only 2 times it's done well, I can tell you. When I send a giant a giant video and say, I'm not doing well. That's the only time it's seen massive increases. And then everything else chips away. Mistakes patrons made, people not agreeing with a review. That's the only time. Your creation and any social signaling. Those are the only real 2 times. And subscriptions are the same way. Like, you sort of need that big bump. And it's hard. It's hard to see what a big bump is. It's definitely hard.
I think it's also because Microsoft are talking about, that we've never been this profitable in the game, in games and stuff. Like, everything's going great. We've never done this well. But then they're also rising 50% of the price for Game Pass. I think that's also hard to swallow for people. Is that a fair criticism in your eye, or is there something we're missing there?
$30 is not unfair for what they give you. What is unfair and what is their mistake, and they will burn forever for it. The largest mistake I've ever seen a company do in gaming, personally, to me, is continually undervalue that with the consistent rollovers of $1, $10, and letting people stack up. Because while I love it because people got to experience it, it does devalue beyond anything anybody's saying with like a game being on the subscription service. That's one thing. But what we're talking about is you get accustomed to that and your budgeting is based on that. Any person in the world outside of gaming would see that. Anybody, any business person in the world would look at that and go, there's 0 ways for that to work. There is just 0 ways. You are quite literally at some point going to have to pay the piper. And the only way to do it is to raise the price. And to whatever it should have been valued at. Like, I still think everything's pretty high now when you consider them all. You're looking at 25 for some movie services. You're looking at 30. You're looking at 20. That eats a lot of cash quite quickly without a person even really knowing and sure, there might be a ton of games, but there's also a ton of shows on Netflix. And sure, a game might be 60 hours. Great, but I still need to like it and want to play 60 and know it's out on there. It was a dumb move on their part. It was dumb. They were making money and they thought we're just going to continue to do it. I would have loved to have seen them spend that money in the loss of losing people if it was more expensive and getting really good bonuses for people on Game Pass. For example, bigger deals when you buy the game, because they were running pretty good deals when you bought the game occasionally. They'd be like, oh, it's this much off. Dude, be like if you did 3 or 4 months, 50% off on the game. You know, like GameFly. I use GameFly still. GameFly will ship you something. You buy the game from GameFly, and they drop the amount, a considerable amount. So you're like, hell, that sort of makes sense. You know, I like the game. I want to get it. I want to jump in, grab it. And you get the experience, and you also get to ship it back if you don't like it. So,
yeah,
bad move on their part. Horrible. Just, dude, brain dead decision on their part. Like, I just don't know.
I think so. It was received like just a sack of rocks.
Oh, I don't mean the price raise. It doesn't matter who that is. That'll always be bad. I mean the rollover of the consistent price of the $1.
Oh, yeah.
That was just like, and I mean, I remember talking to people and being like, do you even use it? And they're all, no, not really, but it's only $5 or whatever to roll it. And you're like, ooh, that's a person who's not going to stick around, because there's no, dude, I'm a channel that hinges on price. I pay for the things. Even I'm looking at it going, that's just stupid, because even I would look at it and go, well, it's only $5. You know, it's just not a good plan. Stupid on their part. Sony is not doing any better. Sony's got a really stupid, their entire setup for their online subscription service is terrible. And I don't think it's working. There are still some subscription services that I have for TV shows that I think could be mimicked in games that I would be like, that is well worth it, but no one's done it yet. There's like I said, the deals that you pay back the user in like those sales and stuff, where you make it so that it's like, dude, this is a good deal. Because that's the thing. A good deal is not a massive raise of the price. And it's also not devaluing it for a great deal of time. Those are both bad deals, whether it be short term or long term. They're technically bad deals, but it is what it is. Sony's program never has games at launch. Yeah, true. What else do we got?
They do a bit of discounts if you are a member of the. So that's cool. I would like it to be more significant, because the ones I saw were like, you know, here's 5% off a full price game.
Right. I just have so many subscriptions, dude. I have Kindle, or whatever it's called, Kindle Unlimited, and I you know me,
it's
I
very
read,
tough to.
And I'm dude, Kindle Unlimited is a good example. John, you have it, right? You have Kindle Unlimited, or
not Kindle? No, because I do mostly physical actually these days. Or books,
dude. There's so many free books, and they're good. And you'll you'll be like, oh my God. Crazy. And then they have like hold 6. You can't hold more than 6. So you return one digitally, which, by the way, listen, this is how stupid humans are. You're returning one digitally. That's it. It's still on the device. You're just unchecking it out, and we still buy into it. But regardless, what I was saying was, you get Kindle, you get all these things, and it can devalue a book. And by the way, it definitely has. I've found that when I buy a book that isn't on Kindle Unlimited, I do exactly what you and I've talked about. I pay it more attention. I pay it more attention.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Because the other stuff, I can get to that. Oh, it looks good. Yeah, but I need to get this because it's on sale at $9, which, by the way, is only $5 less than Kindle Unlimited for 10,000 books, I think. So what else we got?
Yeah. Well, that ties into another thing that I had here that you mentioned as well, which is Xbox talked about the next gen console, and they say it's going to be very premium, very high end, right? So this was Sarah Bond talking kind of just generally a little bit about stuff, and so she said, quote, "I can tell you that the next gen console is going to be very premium, very high end, curated experience. You're starting to see some of the thinking that we have in the Asus ROG, but I don't want to give it all away." What do you make of that? What is the link there with the ROG?
The link, link with the
pricing, because that's obviously very premium.
It is the pricing. It's the fact that PC has extended its price, its cost.
Yeah.
So
even the entry level is already,
it's ridiculous now. So you're looking at. By the way, I just saw a PC that I had put on a wish list. It was like a parts PC, what do you call it? A customizable PC that you can like put together your parts. I put together the parts. I saved it, right? I was like, okay, I'm just saving it, putting it away, and put it away. And yesterday it said some of the parts have increased in price on this PC. So I was like, oh, how much? $788 across the board, total increase. RAM, motherboard,
Holy.
yeah, and video card, sound card. Well, not sound card on that one because I had
that used to be a whole
so.
PC in and of itself. $700.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing: you get these interviews, people ask them the questions, they have to answer them. And I think when you're looking at it, it's like, and this personally, what I would do is I would oversell the cost and performance now, or oversell the cost probably. And then when it comes out, hope that things have gone down in cost and your wafer sets are cheaper and that we've figured out all this shit that's going on. But currently, the delta between a PC and a console is massive now. And the PCs we have, I consider many of the PCs we have being good enough to play most games, unless it's like Cyberpunk 2, where some jackass comes in and makes a game barely perform because they add a new type of ray tracing. I think the biggest problem right now is that these cards and shit aren't adding any capability. They're raising in price. And the same thing's going to happen with your handhelds. Anything that's on any wafers that we see right now, they're all going up in price. My car went up in price. If you want to buy my used car, same year, everything went up because that car is filled with parts that admittedly are used, but they raised because they could, because the market has risen on all those chips. The market's gone up and all those things. So, and that's outside of gaming, but it's everywhere. Dude, my airsoft gun went up in price because it has a MOSFET chip. And that MOSFET chip, guess where it's sourced? China. So the damn MOSFET chip, the only chip in that entire, everything else used to be non-chipped, meaning it was using contacts. And airsoft industry was like, oh, let's switch to MOSFET so you don't have a contact that can arc over time and cause carbon scoring, which is a real thing, not just from Star Trek. Or Star Wars. So they switched over to a MOSFET, which is a chip. And that went up. Even the MOSFET, you get a special type of battery and you plug a chip in it, and it will tell you when that battery is drained to a point to where it's dangerous. It's a cool chip. It's a cool little thing you can add to LiPo batteries if they don't already have them. That went up. It doubled in price. And is it expensive? No, it's still not super expensive. But I watched that price go up. And I have saved HTML websites from old airsoft websites. That's how I used to save a bookmark, was save the page so I could go back and price compare, because I didn't have any price comparison for airsoft.
Snapshot.
Yeah, I took a snapshot. And I still have like 1,000 folders snapshots. Go back. It went from $6.99 to $12.99. Now it's $21.99 for the exact same chip. So, yeah, it's going to be expensive.
Even GPUs, man, they've maintained the price incredibly.
It's ridiculous how expensive. How expensive. That's why I loved Intel doing okay in the mid-market, because despite driver issues with the Intel, it was a price that at the very least was not 2 or 3 consoles, because that's what's occurring right now. Listening to somebody in the VC was planning to they were trying to get a PC, and they wanted it to be a tiny bit future-proofed. And I'm always in there. I'm always the voice of dissension. I'm always, don't get the 5090. Don't get a 4090. Get something that can do ray tracing, but doesn't have all the bells and whistles. You'll still be fine, blah, blah, blah. You can save some money. They were looking still at a 4090. And I was like, dude, what is that now? 4 consoles? Well,
yeah, I think
raised
it's
the price,
still around
so it might be 3.
2,000.
But yeah, ridiculous. I think it was a 4090 they were looking at. Might have been 5090, but it's ridiculous. Yeah, dude, it's the PC. By the way, my last PC costs less than the video card does now. That'll give you an example. My PC with a video card costs less than just the video card does now.
Yeah, that's where we're at, man. And it's not changing anytime soon,
It's not. I don't
Every
think,
new generation.
At least I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll change. And by the way, no company, I think people are thinking that, let's say tomorrow somebody says, boom, I'm done. I'm not tariffing these 2 nations. There's no more tariffs. Okay. Does anybody in their right fucking mind think that these companies are going to dramatically lower their price and get slammed by investors? Of course they're not. No investors. Remove the investors. Does anybody think they're going to randomly drop the price? Absolutely not. That would be ridiculous. No company's going to do that. So the artificial heightening we're getting is going to be the norm. And when those tariffs go away, they'll drop a bit, but they will not.
So you don't think they would try to aggressively undercut each other by
you
cutting
can
the
still
price
aggressively
back down?
cut, but by 4 times is what they've risen. So you just look at it and you're like, and not just video cards, I'm saying chips as a whole. You look and you're like, well, guess
chips.
what? One company says we're going to cut it by 1/3. The other company says we're going to cut it by 1/2. It is still that much more expensive than it was prior to all these issues that we've dealt with. It's not going down, or at least not down as much as we want. Wizard of Smoke, $20, $20 a month for GeForce Now high-end computer needed. Baldur's Gate 3 has been running great on my 5-year-old Lenovo. Yeah, he gave us a super chat, and by the way, again, thanks for the super chat. This was Survivor. So I was in there with Survivor, and he didn't know GeForce was so easy, and he was looking at PC. So I just happened to, luckily enough, remember GeForce because I hadn't been using it for a while, and I was like, oh, you know what you should do to verify you want to use that stuff, you want to use a mouse and keyboard, or you want to jump into a PC with those settings, and that's important to you. Go play the free version of GeForce, which is like 1 hour at 1080p. Verify that your ping is good. If it is, pay 1 month, leap in there, play some games, see if that's the steps you want to take, because it's a big step. It is no longer, I have just decided I'm going to play this, And especially with pings, mine's 9 milliseconds. Like, depending, GeForce has exploded. They're putting shit everywhere. So some people, especially if you're not doing like a Battlefield, admittedly, I did place #1 in Battlefield and Call of Duty on GeForce Now. So obviously it works, but it's not going to be where you would want to play those as much. If you had a native and you had a good high, you wouldn't want to be 60, but if you had a 120 native at your house, it'd still be better. But people who want to get into it, why spend a bunch, especially if you have to figure out if you like keyboard and mouse? Are you comfortable where you are? Do you want to just sit back on the couch and not put I have a nice computer desk at my couch that comes up. It's very comfortable. It's still not the same as sitting right here, and playing like with a mouse and keyboard. You got to figure out what's comfortable for you. So, I was told Luna took a big change recently. I don't know what's the big change for Luna. Do you know? I don't know. Luna's the Amazon.
No, I haven't.
The Amazon one.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, I haven't either. What else we got? We got some positive shit.
We're kind of on a shortage of positive a little bit. But on the funny side, Counter-Strike 2 made a change, and the market lost like 1.7 billion. This was like based on stuff that people trade. They basically like lowered the value of some stuff that can now be bought more cheaply, and it crashed a big part of the market with that. So that was like I think it was 6 billion total for the market, and it went down to almost 4. So it was a big drop, and crazy that there's still that much people legit investing into like CS2 items to own and trade.
How many conspiracy theories exist around this too? That the change was made because there's a plan for a new something that'll replace it, and they want to move on from the old tech. There's all kinds of because that is one thing. What are the two big behemoths that are ancient? World of Warcraft and Team Fortress 2, right? When those are the two, I think they're like behemoth kind of old. Yeah. They exist forever. We now hear the new rumors going on around World of Warcraft and possible console stuff, which would not surprise me at all. It makes sense. You look at Team Fortress 2, you look at these old games, it's like, does the company want to move forward? Probably not, because they're getting stuff from those guys, but they might also want to move forward to get new consumers in. How do you do that? By the way, GTA 6 is going to have the same issue. They're going to have to figure out a way to get all those people who are doing stuff that GTA 5 has now blossomed into this crazy weird shit. They're going to have to jump in there and figure that out. It's going to be nuts. Yeah, there was all kinds of conspiracies about that, man. All kinds of conspiracies about the Team Fortress 2 thing. I don't follow it enough to know. I mean,
Nah, me neither.
hopefully it goes back, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know.
Luna is now included with Amazon Prime. Oh, that's cool.
That is cool. Yeah. I will say this. I can't remember if it was me and Wizard of Smoke, but somebody was in there, reminded me about Luna, or maybe I reminded them. I can't remember, but I jumped into Luna and it was actually very impressed with its performance and its latency and its resolution. It was a step above what I'd been using on. Can't remember what I was using prior because I've been testing a bunch. There's one I'm testing that hasn't rolled out. I'm sort of surprised, but I think that has to do with licensing. But if Luna's free with, or whatever you want to call it, not free, if Luna is now a price that is divided into the many services Prime gets you, then I would suggest people check it out because they also had a bunch of free games in there. One big bonus, Johnny, for GeForce Now and shit. Not only do they give away games, but all given away games work. So the person who was in there last week had Epic Games. They didn't even have a Steam account, but they had the Epic Games. They had all that stuff, and they were just occasionally playing on a friend's computer. They ended up signing into GeForce Now and had like 40 games just instantly.
That's
like,
cool.
Dude, that's cool. Yeah. Hey, use it. Use it or lose it, right? That's a smart way of doing things. And demos. I mean, and there's all the Game Passes on there. That's the other thing. If you want to play a non-cloud Xbox version, half of the Game Pass ones, you can do GeForce Now if you want to. I think it's cool, Johnny, because dude, I mean, I get it. There's always going to be some fucking jack off on YouTube who's like, the only way to play this game is at 244, hertz monitor, and fucking spills their tea on their piece of shit $900 keyboard. The fact is that it feels really weird to talk about price like between me and you, and then 2 seconds later, people are talking about spending a shit ton of money or wanting only the best of the best. And it's like, it's weird because it's like a dual class economy now. It's like, why would you demand somebody play? Oh, I can't play on GeForce Now. Well, you can't. Great. Whatever. But dude, you're talking to somebody who's competitively gamed and I can. If I can and my friends can, then there's people out there.
Yeah, we're way past the point
let
where
this dog out. He's going to poop. I'll be right back.
Okay,
continue. Let's talk about.
We're way past the point where the lag would be prohibitive in those games. If you have good internet, in a good setup, those work great. I think they're also really good for cases where people have maybe a laptop or something like that where they don't have a full fat PC available for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Or they don't want, maybe some people don't want a full PC and they're able to have just a lightweight.
A Fire Stick, $14.99. We just saw somebody beat Black Myth Wukong on GeForce on a side-loaded
That's crazy,
4K
man.
Max, $14.99 Fire Stick. Yeah, totally fine. Internet's the sucky thing here in America because we have these varying internets. They're getting better, but luckily size doesn't matter at all because you're not installing the game. No lie, I had to explain to somebody for like 4 hours last week. They were like, no, you're not understanding. My download speed is like only 100 or whatever. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. You're not installing it to your goddamn PC, man. You don't have it. You just told me you don't have a PC. So, dude, meet me halfway. You do not have a PC. It does not install to anything. All you care about is if your ping wherever you are located is good enough, it installs to a separate thing. And that's what you're interacting with. You do not have to worry about it. It took maybe an hour to get it through their head. And so I think in America in particular, we get caught up on download. You get caught up on bandwidth caps, which most have gone away. There's still a couple places with bandwidth caps, which suck. Or that you need, like, let's say 100 beyond. But we have people playing with 25 down. And you don't even, it wouldn't look the greatest, but you could play with 25 down. So, or you can play something like XCOMs. RTSs work great. You just probably wouldn't want to play Call of Duty with that speed.
Right.
That's where you would notice an issue. That's sort of rough. That can be rough. But yeah, it's a weird. That was a weird conversation, man. I ended up just almost buying him a Fire Stick and just being like, "Can I just buy you one and have you test it? And you can give me the." This is getting ridiculous. Yeah, because they were arguing with me, and I'm like, "Dude, I mean, I do it all the time. I mean, I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. It's like it's a good thing to try out." at the very least, to see. And how many times have we seen it where somebody's playing a game on a handheld? I hated handhelds, but I bought a Switch 2 and I love it. It's like, if humans can switch when different data is delivered to them, maybe you should try out different things, right? You'll have somebody be like, dude, I can do this, I can do that. I'm a multitasker. Are you? Are you? Seriously? Because every time I talk to you, you're so closed off, it doesn't sound like you're a multitasker at all. It sounds like you've chosen very particular tasks you're good at, which is what you hear a lot of multitaskers. You know, once you start talking to a multitasker, you're like, are you truly a multitasker, or are you just really good at the three things that, you know, you've found out you're good at? I'm playing GeForce Now free tier on my MacBook Pro 2016. Great screen and sound, and now playing modern games on it. It's a great deal. Good for you,
that's awesome too, man. For like Mac users, that's a great solution.
Yeah, I just really want people to like be able to experience.
Well, it's another
the games.
option, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like practically, if you can't run the games very well, that's a great solution. And maybe for some people who can, it might also be useful as like another way, because it syncs up with your Steam, with your Game Pass, right? Your library is available.
I think I understand though, where like you and I will talk, and you'll have an employee who has a problem, and you'll tell them a way to fix it, and they don't want to fix they don't want to fix the problem in any other way but the problem to go away. And currently the cost is not going away. So you do have to look at other ways, you know, in which to engage, because you're just screwed if you're not, right? You're not getting, there are ways to get into gaming and still be super cheap for a while.
And you could do the math of that, like,
oh dude, it's super cheap compared to a card.
$20 per month. Right. Yeah, I mean, it will take you a long time to like pay back a full PC. You know, if you were to do the math of like, do I buy a full PC or do I just pay GeForce for a while? You know, it's going to take you a very long time to, it's going to run you way less than a PC basically. But, you know, it's all pros and cons, right? PC is cool if you like. You can do a lot of additional stuff, like not just gaming, obviously. And then lots of sales stuff, games that
it's smart to look
prices.
around. I mean, and just understand the caveats, whatever that caveat may be. The caveat for a great system is cost. Caveat for a lesser system is going to be, performance. Caveat for a GeForce Now is going to be, well, it could be latency, but I mean, you're talking 120 FPS delivered at like 10 latency is actually going to be a faster response time than a 30 FPS or 60 FPS game on a native like console. So you're looking at these things. I don't think people really understand the math, because I remember you and I had this discussion, which I can't remember if I came out wrong on that. This was years ago. You and Chris and me had a discussion. Oh, I remember what it was. Do you remember this discussion? It was you, Chris, and myself. This is Chris. I haven't seen him in years.
In the Discord?
In the Discord,
I think I remember.
240. It was like, if it's delivering 240 FPS and you're locked at 60, does the 240 help? Or something to that effect. And then there was a Hertz question, because a lot of people think Hertz is FPS. And they get... And dude, the same thing will happen, by the way, when we sold TVs. Luckily, don't have to do it anymore. Occasionally, I'll help somebody. But you'd have somebody tell you they can see one frame, like 1 millisecond. And so we'd test them, but you don't allow them to see that you're testing them. So you basically do the one, you put in the thing that does the delay. 0 people were able to tell. Does that mean 0 in the world? No, I'm sure there's somebody there who's a nuclear scientist who fucking sees at light speed, who watches light beams slowly cross their living room because they see so fast. But you definitely get that. You get the arbitrary overestimation of your own ability to notice some of these things. Same thing happens 60 to 90, 90 to 120, 120 to
a lot of it is placebo.
Yeah.
Like the what's it called? The lossless audio format. Where
did you see the headphone review that I posted like 2 or 3 weeks ago? Did we talk about this?
No, I missed it.
Dude, this was great. So basically, this is like the 15th company that's done this, so I can't shine just these guys on. But basically, what they were doing was they were giving people headphones to review without telling them what headphone they were reviewing. So there was no brand names. And almost religiously, the mid-cost, low tier was considered the better of all of the headsets. And I was like, dude, we were doing that maybe 15 years ago with TVs with resolution, where we'd get somebody, we'd measure their height, we'd put them on a certain place, we'd measure the resolution, we'd be like, okay, I need you to guess the resolution on this TV. Oh, that's for sure, 1080p, or that's for sure whatever.
Us
like,
humans, we're terrible at that stuff.
We overestimate.
Dude, like guitars is the same. You can watch these like blindfolded videos where they pick up different guitars ranging from like $200 to 2,000 or 5,000, and very often it's like the middle ground ones that they prefer. And they think those are the expensive ones. But actually, a lot of it is about perception and the placebo.
For sure. I can hear this is Anthony. I can hear 120 hertz. Trust me, bro. Yeah, dude. I mean,
definitely.
I know that at times I get shit for kiboshing on people, but like that is what we tested.
I mean,
our job was
we
to
notice
test it, and
especially like the variants, right? If you have a game that's jumping.
You'll notice that much easier.
But like at a certain point, like, dude, I play League at 240 FPS. And like,
FPS
I don't notice
hertz?
different hertz.
Just want to point it out so somebody.
Okay. Yeah. I don't notice the difference if I switch that
140
to
120. Or 120.
Yeah. Literally, I don't. I just set it to as high as I can because like there might be a chance where the inputs are maybe, a bit more responsive, like whatever. But yeah, we can't notice it, man.
By the way, anybody who gets a chance who's watching this, there's also a really fun test. If you have a friend, have them go from like 60 to 90 or 60 to 120. Notoriously, a person 120 to 60 is noticeable because you're dropping down by half. That kind of stuff becomes noticeable. But 60 to 90, very hedgy. 90 to 60, I would say still a little bit more noticeable, but going up becomes insanely hard. You'll get somebody to 90 and go to 120 and don't tell them which one's 90, which 120, which is 144.
Diminishing returns.
Dude, it's ridiculous. You'll have a person going, and the number of times a PC will have a brief stutter because Windows is doing something or Linux is doing something behind the scenes. And they'll be like, this is for sure 60. Like, no, that is not. But the same thing happened with resolution.
Oh, yeah.
And the same thing happened with DLSS. If you stick somebody far enough away, and I don't mean outside, I'm talking like on their chair, and they're playing. As long as you adjust the screen, you give somebody here's your like your 4K native, here's your 4K DLSS quality, and you start to see, especially with TVs that do have processing, you'll start to see people just having absolutely no clue what they're doing. They just won't. There's no. And by the way, can't we all agree that that's okay too? Like, I think that's okay. Like, I don't understand why somebody takes it as such a personal affront that they have to lie about it and be like, oh no, dude, my car that's got a 120 speedometer, I hit 240 on the freeway. Sure you did. Yeah, sure you did. Yeah, you definitely did. You're a piece of shit liar. I don't know why people do that, but that becomes the de facto way of, it's like, dude, just have a fun time playing your goddamn game.
Pride thing.
Consistency in frame rate is, definitely the most important. Like not going up and down. When you see that, I mean, I think variable refresh helped. I wish PlayStation's was a little lower because that one requires a higher FPS bed than Xbox. But new consoles will be great to see how they handle that. I think I don't use it a ton because I do have a card that runs that way. But on the consoles, I definitely use it. It's a huge. I mean, you can definitely notice. The problem is a lot of fucking TVs don't have it. TVs have it is great, but a lot didn't.
Now a lot of them do, which is nice if you get one. But if you happen to have one from a few years ago, you just won't have it.
Yeah. Had you guys pop out for the pod a second while working? Did you guys see the booth they set up for the demo? What demo? Fighting Dog. What's he talking about?
I haven't heard about that.
What demo, sir? What booth? What world? What event?
Context.
What anything? What context? Give us some context. Give us a letter. Give us 2 letters. Give us.
Do you
Halo,
think
maybe?
that TVs have hit the maximum size? Because so you have, I think, like around 80 inches is where OLED. You can't really buy OLEDs bigger than 80 unless you spend like, your entire
Right.
life savings or something. I think there's just something about the OLEDs, right? Like the printing.
I would say
it kind of doesn't scale
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah, I
with the
would
size.
say especially like if you get an OLED or the brand new micros, which I like better than OLED because they have almost none of the negatives. You look at a situation where we're pretty good. They're pretty bright.
We're sorted.
They're
like,
yeah. The only thing I would say I would like is we still get some burn in. That seems to be going away. Companies, I don't think OLED's the future by any means. I don't think anybody does. OLED is the current good right now. But you have a bunch of technologies that are far better than OLED that still have the same basic idea, which is a zeroed out pixel, meaning just jet black, but doesn't have
like the contrast, right?
Yeah, but doesn't have any of the other issues that OLED has, and you don't have to fight it because OLED's battle for the longest time was brightness, and then they got that somewhat sorted, but there were all other issues that popped up. TVs, I mean, I don't know about you, but the idea of an 8K TV doesn't even make sense to me.
No.
And I've seen
What
8K.
would you even
I've
run
seen
in
16K actually one time. At least they said it was 16.
Yeah.
I still to this, it was a test. I still to this day, I'm like, if that's 16, we're far past my eyes to see it. Like, and I've
Yeah,
like
I think
2020,
so.
and I was all
Because even the jump from 1440p to 4K,
to 4K. Yeah,
wasn't that big compared to 1080p.
that's a fair
Dude,
thought.
I think it's just, just capping out.
Yeah. Humans cap out, man. That's the farthest we go.
Yeah, our
What else?
flash vehicle just.
Our flesh vehicle.
Well, that's about it from topics. We do have some questions if you want to hit some of those.
Let's do questions, man. Let's see what we got.
Okay. MK Ultra Survivor says, generally speaking in RPGs, which attributes do y'all usually focus on for your first playthrough? Or does it largely depend on the type of game? For example, in Outer Worlds, I stacked my personality and nagged my intelligence just to get the funny dialogue options, but normally intelligence is my go-to. Sorry if this has been asked before.
I don't think
Not
that has
really.
been
It's
asked
a good-
before.
It's a good question.
Not the
Yeah.
exact stats. I don't think that's ever been asked. What are yours? What do you choose?
Dude, I absolutely love crit chance. And it's full placebo in a lot of games because very often, you end up having like a 10% crit chance.
Right.
And it does a bit more damage, but it's completely not worth it when you balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about the dopamine of like getting the crits. Because in a lot of games, it will have like a sound or, like something that stands out. And it's almost like a little slot machine where every now and then you see it pop up and you go like, ooh, like Wukong, for example, had a good crit system.
This is what's great about Johnny and I. We couldn't be more different if we were speaking another language right now. And I love this. So
what do you got?
crits are my bane. I hate them in games. I hate them I don't like them even in D&D games. I think that they're ridiculous. I don't like them. I don't ever adjust a crit. However, do you know what the fuck I adjust? And it's obviously a cheat. So I'm just going to be honest about this. Health. The reason why is because the animation at the lowest in a parry or in an attack has the lowest attack. You know what that lowest worst attack speed or parry will be, right? That's sort of given within the animation of the game. So you're always going to know what the lowest is. So I will do health. So therefore I can live to learn the attacks and the parry times. Then I will adjust the attack and parry times if dexterity adjusts them.
Tank a couple mistakes.
Yes, I will always fucking do health first. If it's about vitality, man, I'm looking for vit, health. Anything that is kills. If it's health on kills, if the enemies are if the game world has a lot of low-level enemies, health on kills is the godsend, because you can quite literally ignore mana and health potions, and just
so it like
circle and kill.
the type of sustain perks that just like
Division has health on kills, and so we will even do it where a mood skill be like, this guy's almost dead, and I'll swing around and pop him and heal up
for the heals,
and then I'll jump in front of the enemies for him while he's back healing, because he has a shield and he goes up front for quick bursts of damage. So you just work that system. But vitality is my godsend. I love it because I can learn whatever I need to learn, and I know it will never go lower. I'm like, this will never, like, this is the base animation speed for a zeroed out character. Your what's the term? Your hard run, your god run, where you don't spend any points. I know that that's where my speed's going to be, and then I can build from there after I use health. And it lets you skip an attack or two, or not skip, but it lets you flub an attack or two where you're just like, I'm getting smoked by this piece of shit.
Well, it can also change your experience very, a lot, because
you're not reloading.
Some games you just get one shot.
Yeah.
It's, like Elden Ring, if you didn't get any points in vitality, for example, at some point you get one shot by attacks.
Also,
and like your experience changes.
You want to know a little secret? Well, this is not a secret, it's fucking math. But go look at the percentages for a second. 1% of health when your character starts at 200 is going to be a great deal more than 1% more damage on a sword. And if they run their damage in the way you run damages, notoriously the health bonus percentages will do a dramatically different result on your character than if you did those extra hit, what plus one to hit or whatever. Now those will stack up over time, but possibility
at some point they're placebo, like you're getting one extra point to your attack.
Do you know what I like is games that don't stay at one. You start, a lot of D&D games will do this. They'll be like +1, +1, +5, +5, +5, +10, +10,
like +20. It goes up the higher.
Yeah. And they'll have, on D&D, they'll have restrictions for doing those where, like, it's almost like your God moment where you pull one out of the bag kind of thing. I like those kind of systems. Very difficult to do in video games, but in D&D, I like it. I'd go with hitting stronger, Dom says. Big numbers, Servant says. Yeah, big numbers are good. People like, that's the other thing. I don't get any feedback. I turn off the numbers. So that would be one visual feedback that I think if somebody likes big numbers on their hits, then having the numbers on gives them two feedbacks.
You turn off the numbers?
Yeah, I'll turn them on if I want to see what the increase is, the 1%.
Okay.
Like, what do they mean by that? But after a while, I'll turn them off completely. I'll turn off the health bars. And the
I love seeing the number, and then like you see the bold one when it's a crit. Oh, it's great.
Yeah. No, I can see that. That's cool, though, because that means if you and I played a game where there was a crit character and a tanky health character, we would never...
Yeah.
What's your
the best combo ever?
My secondary is speed, but not a ranger style. I just mean speed of like doing... I don't need him to be fast on the ground. I like that, of course. But I mean pulling things off. Reload speed is great to me because if I'm firing bullets downwind, it doesn't matter if they're doing less damage if my cyclic rate is higher because my reload is higher. So I like the reload. Man, in games where you can speed up the reload, I like it to almost look fucked. I have in Division, I have a special skill that when I kill 5 enemies in a row, the reload speed is like 200%, and it doesn't even look like an animation. It's just basically like, and you're just like, okay, this feels good. And then you add that to getting health when you kill, and suddenly your gun. I remember I was playing with Omar, and the gun just sounded like a chainsaw. It almost never stopped firing. It was it was awesome. What's your second? Like what's?
Well, it would be strength. I love the Unga Boonga,
like for sure.
Grab the biggest stick I can find in this damn world or biggest sword, and I'm going to swing that for 1 billion damage.
Feels good.
Sure, I'm only going to land one hit every moonrise, but it's going to be...
Yeah, but it'll matter.
It will matter.
Look at what happened with Monster Hunter, man. I was having issues with Monster Hunter, and I switched to the hammer, and I was soloing Monster Hunter for the review. And I remember I was like, it's not the easiest on some of these bosses or even just some of the normal characters because I think it was only my second Monster Hunter. This was the first of the big ones, Worlds. And I switched to the hammer, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that was almost a cheat code. Like, it was because I'd been trained on the other weapon needing a ton of hits. So I would just buffer up that one hammer swing, and it would like knock an enemy out of the sky. And I was all, are you fucking kidding me with this shit? Because before I was basically 2 or 3 shots and I'd be dead against like a major guy. And with the hammer guy, they just weren't able to hit because you're swinging it. The collision box on that thing is ridiculous. Like, it's like,
it
you
was
can hit
crazy.
Almost anywhere you are. Yeah, it felt good. Good. That was a blast.
Yeah.
I like the idea
collision
of
head of that hammer. Was
it was
the whole screen.
Yeah, it felt like the collision box on that hammer was a little bit bigger than it should have been, but I was all for it. It was fun. The hammer's gloriously enjoyable in Monster Hunter. It's so dumb, but it looks like a caveman anyway because their armors types go towards the hides, and I mean, yes, you get metal and stuff, but even that isn't fancy looking, right? So
more like barbarian.
Yeah. You have that hammer, and you're like, Oogla will smash. Felt so good. What other questions we got?
That was a good question. This one from Norsk Imposter. Couple of questions. After your Substack article about double embargoes, do you ever see the practice changing? Do you feel there's enough pushback for the culture to change, with the tonal shift in Outer Worlds being a bit divisive, and Avowed how a lot of need to understand the lore of the world through codexes, etc.? How do you think Obsidian will approach their next game narratively? It feels like they can't find a good balance. So those are 2 questions, he said. He had a couple questions. So the first one about the double embargoes.
Double embargoes
is there enough
happen.
Pushback?
Yeah, they rarely happen. That's why I brought them up. But when it does happen, it absolutely is a disaster, and it has happened more times in a small period of time, which is why I wrote the Substack. Luckily,
do you think it's a critical mass now? I think, push against it?
I don't even think it's a push against it. I think it's a rarity to the point to where most won't do it, and somehow these 2 or 3 just happen to have.
Worry about
Not
it
so
too much?
No,
okay.
But when it does happen, gotta call it out. I mean,
right.
I just got to call it out. So, and then
the second question there, tonal shift in Outer Worlds being a bit divisive, and Avowed needing a lot to understand the lore through codexes and stuff. How do you think Obsidian will approach their next game narratively?
I think Obsidian's rocked it pretty much, because Outer Worlds, maybe I had some issues, but divisive to me means truly divisive. I don't think there's much divisive about Outer Worlds. It's pretty much people liked it or they loved it. I feel pretty comfortable saying that right now. We'll see how people in stream next Friday, what they say. There's always going to be, you got to, any bell curve, you got to rip the Band-Aid off of both sides, right? You got to snip them off, I guess, and then glue them together. I don't see that being divisive overall. I think that they chose us. I think people are going to like it, just like they liked Mass Effect 2 going a tiny bit more militant, gritty than Mass Effect 1. I think the same thing's happening with Outer Worlds, at least from what I've seen out and about. I didn't love it as much, but I don't consider me not loving it as much being divisive, because I still like the game. It's just that one bit.
And it sounds like the narrative part landed pretty well for Outer Worlds too.
It's not the greatest story in the world, but it's still an Outer Worlds game.
For what it's doing, right? Yeah. It sounds like.
I will say, though, it does have some pretty cool switch ups, and I think that might have lie a little to tell a lot. I think the same can be said for give me a couple quests that really impact shit, and you've got my love forever. I think a lot of people playing Outer Worlds 2 felt that. I think a lot of people just needed a couple, because look at Cyberpunk. They're like, everything's going to change. Nothing did. But they still liked it after it's been patched, because the gameplay is good. This game already has a pretty good gameplay, but it does it day one. And I think a lot of people who turned it on were pretty surprised by some of the big changes that can occur in choices you make. And that pays off. And Obsidian knows how to do that part really well.
Yeah. Avowed was a bit crunchy to follow, the story and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think even there, they had a crack and it was fine. I wouldn't call it a blunder or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know
just,
what was going
maybe
on
some
with
adjustments they need to make.
because the
there.
Avowed gameplay was fine. I really liked a
Yeah.
lot of it, but that story, like going to sleep and having you're just like, I don't know what was going on with that story. Yeah. But I liked the game overall. I liked Avowed more
Yep.
than I thought I was going to. I didn't know actually. I just I didn't have a lot of thoughts towards it. I just was sort of, I guess, hoping it was a good game, and it turned out to be genuinely enjoyable for the most part. What else we got?
This one from Sully. One of my favorite things about video games is the creative insight we get into various other cultures and ways of life. Is there a particular culture or time period that you haven't seen portrayed in a game that you'd really love to see, or an existing one that you feel should be expanded upon? If not, perhaps a fictional culture or faction that you feel could be added to a game's fictional society. That would be an interesting angle on the future, on that universe. Yeah. We've talked a couple times about like eras or like time frames we think are interesting. I still think the cyberpunk stuff needs to be expanded.
Yeah,
upon,
me too.
Because we see a lot of indie in that genre, but not much AAA, right?
Yeah, not
Or
much
like
at all,
AA.
and it must be expensive, obviously, to make things look cybernetically, high level.
Yeah, or like the city, right? Like a full-on city.
A full-on
The
city.
Ascent did really well with that. I'd love to see
The Ascent did well.
more of those.
Technomancer wasn't necessarily loved. I liked it as a B game, and I think that Technomancer and its future and weird ideas were good. I just like cyberpunk stuff, and I just don't feel like it's really at all. I mean, dude, there's what, 2 games? The Ascent and
it's like
Cyberpunk,
2 games, man.
Deus Ex, you could say, but it's dead. Perfect Dark looked to be the exact game that I would have said I was hoping for. But I would say he was talking about other races and stuff, or other I would like to see the Monkey Men in Elder Scrolls come back. I can't remember their name, but there's a particular race, and I think they might be in online, if I'm remembering right. I'd like to see a game based in that time when they were there. I would like to see Aztec, but not just a historical one, because we already have a bunch of games that cover it historically, whether it be Age of Empires or whatever. I'm thinking he means third-person action adventure games. I don't know why I'm thinking he's thinking that, but instead of like an RTS, because RTS have covered everything. Underwater, plants, cyberpunk, right?
Yep.
So, okay. Yeah, Far Cry Primal. God, I would kill for that. Far Cry Primal was so good. God, I would kill for another Far Cry Primal. Man, that was a good time.
That time period, you mean, or the gameplay from
the gameplay, but the time period being like
caveman, just Ooga Booga.
Dude, it was so good.
I have stick. I see deer.
And it was, I mean, the Wenja, they created a language for it. People can be as angry as they want about Ubisoft or Far Cry games or whatever, because I'm certainly not a fan. I think the majority of Far Cry games I have not rated a buy. I've not enjoyed them, or they've had tech issues. But I can't really say they haven't tried to do their thing. I would say this last one was really lazy. That's the way I feel personally. That's not a diss on them, because I'm sure people work their asses off. But I felt like you got this actor. He didn't show up. He was barely there. What the hell are we doing? 5 tried to really hit it, and I think did a great number of things wrong. But Primal was just different. And what was the cyberpunk one? Blood Dragon. Far Cry Blood Dragon is one of the most often requested remakes that Ubisoft gets, and it's a cyberpunk B level cyberpunk game. I would kill for that.
Yep.
What else we got? My dog is tooting, and it is so bad that it is like, it's mind numbing. I think I might get high from it. Anyway, what were you saying?
Norsk had a follow-up on that question. He said he loved the setting of Wolfenstein 2 and Mafia 3 of 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
What would be your ideal game set in that era? Is there something about that era that like speaks to you, that maybe a cultural thing. Like to
That
me,
would
it
be
was always
Vietnam.
the Zeppelins.
Zeppelins.
I
Oh,
could- but I
60s
could-
and 50s.
I could be totally wrong, by the way. I don't know the exact time frame
frame.
where those existed, but I think it's maybe around that era.
Hindenburg was, I think Hindenburg was like 20s or 30s. 37.
Oh, was it?
Hindenburg was 37. So you're talking more.
That was the
But
big
let's go back
disaster,
to
right?
that,
Where
yeah.
we stopped.
That's what stopped. Yeah, that's what stopped. That's why. That's how people realized that maybe a giant ball of fucking
Not a good
flammable
idea.
gas. Not
But by
best
the
idea.
way, didn't we throw the baby with the bathwater
Yeah.
a little bit?
we do it all
Like
the time.
fair play, the gas stuff,
Atomic
quite
energy.
dangerous. I feel you.
Yep.
Can we not come up with a different design for it and still have the cool big,
So I'll give you a little thing though.
dirigibles?
I'm scared shitless of being in a hot air balloon or a dirigible because they
Me too. But it would be fucking awesome. Dude.
for a moment. But dude, there's not even a glide path for those fucking things. Number one.
No.
Number two,
Yeah. Oh.
it's mostly flammable. I mean, like a hot air balloon, you're literally
Yeah,
watching
like the
flame
hydrogen
go up.
ones.
Yeah.
Dude.
And then a dirigible,
Yeah.
the wind can blow them around. And I'm
Sure.
from an area with
Yeah.
high winds. And so I think in my brain, I'm like, dude, I would not want to be up in one of those when a high wind hit and you're careening off.
Yeah, they look great in movies,
Yeah.
or like games where, fucking cool. But you're right. The
Do you know what I
practical
like to
is
do with
just-
dirigibles? Blow them up as in Wolfenstein. Like every
Yeah, of
game
course, that's
I've
the main thing.
experienced a
Yeah.
dirigible in, I've been the destruction of the dirigible by blowing it up for the very weakness that I don't want to get in one for, which is a goddamn everything's on fire. So yeah, I hate
Yeah,
it.
that's
I hate
true. Yeah, and helium is rare, right? So
it. Helium is rare, man.
So-
People don't realize that.
Yeah.
Helium is rare. Yeah.
because that was the substitute that doesn't blow up, but then
Can
it's
you
hard
imagine
to get. So
if the helium leaked? You'd know it was leaking.
oh yeah, you would. And funny enough, it's very common, like out there in the universe. It's a very like common element,
Yeah.
but
Very much so.
we don't have access to a lot of it. So
Real quick, we have a
Sad.
question in chat about this very thing. Do you think sound of your voice can make or break a podcast? If someone has good content, but sounds like Kermit the Frog got kicked in the nuts, it'd be hard to get through. We both know this one YouTuber who has a very bad speech impediment. His name's Isaac. Can't remember his last name. He's sci-fi. He does scientific videos. He has a really bad lisp. He makes sure to point it out either prior to the starting of the video or after. He does phenomenal. He does indicate it took him longer to capture it. It definitely took him longer to sort of for people to come to grips with it. But yeah, it will take longer. But I don't think it would crater a channel unless you had. And by the way, you could post-process now. Even without AI, you were able to post-process like NVIDIA Broadcast does. A broadcast voice is the new thing that they do, which can take anybody's voice and turn it into like tonight on ABC. So
yeah, like radio voice.
run it through a processor.
Well, I think too, it's a skill as well.
Sure.
How you speak. Your intonation, your pronunciation of things, and all of that. So even if your starting point is really bad, there's a lot you can do just with practicing the craft. Even if you don't have a deep voice, it can be pleasant, if you're articulate and all that. Like we see a lot of people that don't have deep voices. I know he didn't say specifically deep, but traditionally people say you have a deep voice. That's a good voice for videos, but it doesn't have to be.
No, but I
more
think
so
it could be like
the
Kermit the
quality
Frog
and
here.
practice.
That would be a little bothersome, which
Okay,
is
but
your
that's
presentation
like-
that you said.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's your presentation you can work on too.
Or
So
fucking double down on it.
or embrace it or
Embrace
double
the
down.
shit out of it and be like,
Sure.
Gnome 5 does the news. And you just fucking embrace it, man. I mean, I'll just say this.
Don't get it anywhere like you do here.
Yeah, Kermit the Frog. You and I do we do voice chats with everybody, and you'll have somebody come in and they have a I guess you'd say like no mid or low at all, and it's sort of just high, like the atypical nerd
It's filtered
old
out.
thing you would see in the 1980s movies, where a person almost made themselves sound like a nerd, and that became the archetype. But you can do very well if you have the one thing that is really fucking hard for anybody, which is tenacity. because you're gonna have to. So myself, I'll have people, dude. I've seen it. I've seen people sent me Reddit. I'll do a video, super positive. Everybody's super positive. Next review, one person will say, I don't like his voice. He talks too fast. And then it'll be 50 negative comments. You have to just be like, that's my voice.
Yep.
So
what?
Yeah. And at that point, then you need a support. I would say if you have a good support system around you to remind you that you have friends that are okay with it, or that you do things that involve your voice and people don't jump off cliffs because they talk to you. If that's true, you should be able to do a YouTube video. And by the way, I am not lying. You can buy a pretty cheap goddamn audio interface, crank up the bass.
It will do a lot to help you.
Dude, it'll do I mean, I've heard people in our podcast where I'm like, I know that's not what they sound like, but they've got it, cranked, stuff like that.
Yep.
So, yeah, for sure. You can do it. But yeah, like you said, presentation's big, because like YouTuber presentation, I know people like it apparently because it gets views, but it kills my soul whenever I hear like the typical broadcaster style presentation for a game review or whatever. But then I know people who watch me are like, oh, he talks too fast. I don't like his presentation. They like that, slower, blah, blah, blah. So takes all kinds. Takes all kinds.
Yeah, but I think the quality is something people often don't mention. They mention that you're born with this nice voice, but it also takes a lot of work for you to hone that, the craft, like the way you speak very quickly, but maintaining clarity.
Sometimes
is, I think,
but yeah,
I think pretty difficult, right? And at
yeah.
some point in your life, you pretty much mastered that, or like, you practice that a lot. Maybe from D&D. You think is that D&D maybe where it comes from? Some of the diction and just like getting stuff out.
Who I grew up with. I mean, we had a bunch of Thai people from Thailand, and that's one of the fastest information giving languages in the world. So, and they just don't give it. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if you understand. And so you best understand, or you're going to end up getting, something bad happens. So you're just like, okay. And then after a while, you start talking like that. And honestly, this is super slow for me personally. As anybody who is in voice chat at 3 a.m. will attest, it does not slow down. But the thing is anybody can, I truly think anybody can talk fast, slow it down, go into Premiere, slow it down by 1%, go into Premiere, up it by 1%. If you talk slow, throw some processing on there, you'll be fine. The only real issue is the outliers that are so far of an outlier. Mike Tyson, super high voice with a lisp. That is going to be more difficult. Yeah.
And then at that point, like you said, probably best to embrace it and double down.
Yep.
Embrace it. Yeah. Make it your shield so people can't hit you with it.
What else we got?
This one from Captain Bacardi. Great name. He says, what TV series would you want to see turned into a video game? Okay, we did do this a few times. He says, for me, I would like to see Night Court, where you get to pick if you want to play as the judge, lawyer,
what a great
bailiff.
idea.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Night Court is a phenomenal sitcom. That's a great idea, man. That's a great idea. Good man. Holy shit, man. You just nailed that. You could do a Telltale game, Night Court. Damn.
Yes. Yeah, I think Justified could be a pretty good
Justified.
game.
Longmire as a more investigative one would actually be like, let me stop. I was going to glaze up Longmire, but that's not for everybody. But yeah, definitely Justified would be a great TV show. Sons of Anarchy, I still think would be a good one. Halo Combat Evolved trailer did drop. So what I'm going to do while we're talking here, so I'm just going to open this up. I'm going to try to get it into our... Now, I'm hoping this won't get claimed, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to drop this into... Wait a minute. That's campaign. Yeah. Okay. So everybody, if you just give me a second to try to figure this out, I will try to add this. Go to studio mode. Let me see if I can... I'm going to keep the audio down. Let me capture this one.
That'll help.
Let's go with window capture. This may not be perfect, but it might be perfect. Who knows? Let me.
We're doing it live.
curb
Roberto, you want to see a Dexter game?
Oh, Dexter
Me
game.
too, man. Yeah, I like Dexter.
I'm going to take Johnny and I and make us a little smaller so we can see what Halo looks like. I guess now? I don't know. I don't know when it's coming out. We're just getting the data on it. But okay. Transition over to that. There we go. Oh, it's got my sidebar on there. Let me remove all that. Okay. Again, audio is going to be off. We're just going to hit play. Verify this all works. Let me transition back. All right. So this is, Johnny, I apologize, but if you want to just,
I'm watching on my second screen.
This looks to be the cutscene from, Cartographer.
Okay. Nice water.
I don't know if the frame rate's going to drop or what, because I threw this in without any of the hardware adjustments. I apologize, anybody, if you're watching.
Looks good on the video to me.
Okay. Anybody who gets a chance, you can always look at this. It's called Halo Campaign Evolve the Silent Cartographer, 13 minutes of gameplay. The demo is what the video is called.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll put that into Chaticus Maximal right now. If I can find... Can you do that, John? Do you have the... No, I think I have it. There we go. That should give you the proper thing. Proper video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, okay. This is about what I was expecting. Graphically. Ooh, that looks pretty good. It looks about the same. I haven't played Infinite in a while, so I'm not going to draw any conclusions to...
I mean, it definitely looks
engine.
current.
Yeah.
I think this is quite good.
Oh, you know what, though? What I noticed? The guys on your team continue to look like placeholder NPCs for some reason. At least that's what I'm seeing. Groundwater. Special effects look cool. Seems to be about the same speed. I don't really see any changes, except for this person swipes a lot. Come on, guy. Get that aim. I sort of like the grenade effect. It's not too over the top. Little debris pattern in the ground there, too.
I think this is about what I expected.
Yeah, I want to see him get in the pickup, though. Boom. Yeah, this looks to be on top of the other engine, unless they programmed in the physics issue with the tires, which jiggled when they dropped it, which happened in the original, which is funny. Yeah, so this sounds weird, but I love that everything's set up the same because he's hitting the same jumps. Geez, that looks good. Okay,
I was going to ask you because there's a bit of jank with the car.
Yeah, that's just sort of the...
That's kind of built into the experience.
It is. It's like that's... And by the way, everything right here, that actually looks fun. Yeah, see, I do like the open-ended Halo just going nuts. Like, this is exactly what my friends and I would look like, just...
Yeah, the big areas just
off.
Kind of... Yeah, that sounds wrong.
I meant it too.
Okay, gotcha.
And I want to see how this is set up. Rock. Okay, yeah, so the geometry is in the same place. Oh, wait a minute. You could knock those around in the original. Yeah, okay.
Ooh, some needler action I'm seeing here. So do you just stack a bunch of those needles on people as much as you can? Is how you get the damage on?
Yeah, so they basically seek a tiny bit, and then when they stick in, they have a certain amount of time, then they blow up. And there's very few things more enjoyable than hearing somebody screaming as they run around a corner because they know that they can't get away.
You just like fade away.
And you're just waiting, and then you hear that boom, and it just, at that point, it's like, okay, admittedly, this looks...
Yeah.
This looks pretty goddamn good.
I love it. There's a car flipped over.
Yeah, see, this is like, you know, we see a lot of games that look awesome, so this just, it does look like Halo. The thing about Halo's design was the geometric patterns and the systems they use, and even the textures they use, all fed into... it was what they were able to use when they made the game. So the game actually looks a particular way, which is also described in the fiction, but it does definitely have that almost Independence Day, where things are a certain color, like a certain or a certain sheen, and they don't have a ton of texture depth to them. But that, again, neither here nor there. This actually looks fun. This actually looks enjoyable. They did a good job, actually. They did a good job hitting this. I should say, like, I'm sure they graphically they could have. Well, I need to see this sounds really weird. I need to see the grass systems on a grassy level.
Yeah.
Lou says, I do feel we're hitting a graphical wall. Yeah, I mean, the only way to like improve this would be like Ghost of Tsushima particles as grass kind of situation, which then not 100% sure that would look good.
I don't think in this game it would.
Yeah, we'd have to see it on I need to see a grassy level. They've chosen this level, which is one of people's favorites. But
there's some sparse grass towards the end there, but it's not very reactive to anything. It's more so just propped up.
Man, I'm liking those. Carrick needs to see the grass systems. Admittedly, I do. I'm always in. I love that kind of stuff. I'm a tech head. Goddamn, that looks fun though. This kind of open-ended, especially on a higher difficulty, which I'm pretty sure they're playing on normal, but a higher difficulty, and they're definitely playing on normal. Those hunters were, there's something about it that just, I like the chess checkers mix of like thinking on your feet.
Yes.
But at the same time being able to show your skill if you know the level and if you know where the enemies are and how they fight.
Was this co-op? Did you do co-op on this back in the day?
When I first played it, I played it a shit ton co-op. Yeah. I mean, I beat it myself many times, but I played like, dude, the number of people that Halo sold an Xbox for is unheard of. Like, we're talking like entire groups where I remember just being like, oh yeah, do you guys want to play Halo? What's that? And you show them and they're like, holy shit. I mean, there was something about it at the time that just hit. It was a particular time where, and these guys, I mean, there was a reason Microsoft bought them, because they just had a unique look when they showed the game originally. And cohesively, there's something that I can say, their art has, especially in the first game, just has a thing to it that sort of, it feels like it resonates with people. It's also quite easy to identify enemies. It's not like a camouflage system's in effect, unless you use the actual upgrade or the power up that makes you invisible. So it's sort of nice because it's all about enemies, and I love this area. Yeah, they're definitely on normal.
Yeah, this looks super fun.
Oh, here we go. Cutscene. Damn, that looks good. Oh, yep.
That big dude looked cool. How much are they going to ask for this? Yeah, that's a good question. Do you think it's
Well, it's Game Pass.
Okay, yeah.
So it'll probably be normal price in Game Pass, I would assume, unless they.
But like full price?
I would assume so. Yeah, I would assume. I mean, maybe they won't, but most remakes are at most $10 off. Some are cheaper, but I don't know Microsoft's price planning on their remakes. As in, I don't know their history on it. I know they don't do. Well, Unreal was cheaper, wasn't it? Unreal Reloaded or whatever it's called, or was that full? I can't remember.
I think so.
I'll tell you what, Unreal sold an insane amount. This new one that just came out. So if it did sell at the highest price, then they're doing good.
Is the sprint a hot topic? Because I've seen a lot of people talk about the sprint in Halo.
Yeah, sprint is your grognards who like just don't like sprint in games. They don't want it to. They don't want the change to the physics and stuff. But I mean, it is what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly what I like about Halo. Admittedly, on normal, it doesn't. I mean, honest truth is, it shows good because the player isn't getting devastated. But on like legendary, there is something about it in the freeform combat that, I mean, there's a reason it's considered like one of the top first-person shooters of all time. It feels a certain way, and no other game
forces you to like.
No other game hits
problem solve and everything.
It's a weird title, man, because even the people I know who don't like Halo very much liked Halo 1, or if they didn't like Halo 1, they're still like, yeah, it feels different. Like it's like it genuinely has a freeform feel to it that. Do you know where you see a mimicry of it is like a jetpack game or something, a game where there's like a character with jetpacks or something. That would be, your main thing. And some people don't like jetpacks, so that's fair enough. Some people in COD don't like wall jumping, so like some people isn't the same as all people, and that's the company's job is to figure out, I would say if it's me and I'm doing this, I wouldn't add anything that wasn't in the game activity or ability wise, unless I was doing a special mode. So you could do something called like the Halo Reach mode or whatever and put sprint in. And so people can like beat the game and have sprint if they want something like that. You could do something like that. But I think a lot of people are probably going to want to play it untouched because that's just, I mean, a lot of people. I mean, a full new activity is a little different. Well, Hitman did it. So. I like how Hitman just said screw it to everything that was not in 1. Yep. They just added it from 3. They were like, whatever, we're just putting it in. And I know it pissed off some people. They were like, well, it's no longer canon. I get it. But they could easily do it and just, like I said, a special mode if people want to see that. I don't know why you would do it in this one, but. His voice is awesome. There we go. Yeah, so it's Halo. It's pretty much...
that looked pretty good.
Yeah, I would like to have seen the... I'm going to get teased. Yes, I would have liked to have seen the fucking grass.
They showed a bit of it, man.
They did, but I want to see...
it was...
So, just so you know, in Halo, when you first come down, you spend your time on the Pillar of Autumn, right? Yeah. You spend your time up there, and then you land on a Halo ring. And so when this game first came out, it was just a green texture, and you were like, oh, wow, look at that, because the game's artistry was sort of what worked. The purples and the chromes, they all worked against each other to offer this really unique feel. And then later on, I think in the remake, they added tufts of grass, and I'm assuming in those places it'll be full grass, so I just sort of need to see.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw here was sort of like patchy beard style.
Could always walk slowly if you don't want to sprint for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they added sprint to it. I didn't see sprint, but I wasn't looking the entire time. I was looking at chat too. I don't know if there was sprint.
I think I saw sprinting where like the the gun kind of goes back when he's running.
Well, that could also be just a person pushing forward and moving at the fast run speed. I don't know. I didn't see that part.
Yeah. Okay. But you think it would change it fundamentally if you do have the ability to sprint? Because that's like one new action.
Yeah,
much.
and it's a shooter known for a particular thing, but it's like remakes these days now that you got all these quality of quality of life things that people pop up and put in games, and some people have issues with them, some don't. I'm not going to lose my sleep over it if they add it, but I'm not going to lose my sleep over it if they don't. If it's Halo and it generally feels like Halo 1, I would be happier.
Because it could change the balancing, with the AI you're talking about. If stuff is balanced out around your base move speed.
They cheat and they do the sprint being like either super fast as in a burst, or you find out that the sprint is the fastest that you were able to move normally in the original game, which would make that game play like shit. Because that game was timed in a way to where the way they moved and the way you moved, you would have these odd timings where you could tell it was balanced to the point to where, bullets were just coming behind you. Like, for example,
right.
The AI would twist a turret at a very specific speed. So if you're running in a certain distance, that angle, you would know the bullet. If they fire it, you'd hear the fire, and it would always hit behind you with a radius just out of reach to blow you up. But if you add sprint in, you're able to get out of that even quicker. You're able to do all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it changes some of what you can do.
But from what I saw, that's Halo. So, it is what it is. It looks exactly like I expected. I won't say it looks like I'd hoped. I had hoped it looked a little bit better, but overall, it is what it is. You're going to have people saying it looks terrible. You're going to have people saying it looks like the best thing ever. To me, it looked like Halo. There's no
because it was still recognizable. Yeah. Even to me, not having played a ton.
Yeah. What else do we got for questions?
Let's see. Got a couple from Max. So let's see how far we get. This one's actually a bit long. Let me see if I can
truncate it.
Truncate it a little bit. So he says, do you think difficulty settings matter in story-focused games? For example, both Alan Wake 2 and Control offer accessibility features and easier modes that let players focus more on their narrative rather than the challenge. Alan Wake 2 even allows unlimited ammo and invulnerability if you just want to experience the story. For players who are busy or simply prefer the narrative, this makes the game way more accessible. So what do you think? Yeah, so he's asking about story modes. Is this something worthwhile for us to have everywhere?
Sure, but a dev does what they do. I don't want to tell a dev how to make a game. Let them do it, and if they can add it, that's great, and that helps more people play. And if they choose not to, they should be able to choose not to. And the result is a free market. I do not want a contained market where I have to be like, you need to add these or therefore you can't sell. It's not going to ever be that way.
Yeah,
it's always going to be a choice. Yeah, let them choose, and then you decide from that point on if you can play it. There's some games I will not play because I'll look at them and be like, could I get through them? Most games I can get through. Do I want to? No.
Yeah, I mean, you could have something like Ninja Gaiden 4, which clearly is...
Yeah, that's
a game where you're meant to learn, practice and struggle throughout the game, right? As you learn the combat. And if you're after a story mode in a game like that, I think it's fine for the devs to say this is not the game for you.
Yeah, that is.
Because it's designed around that challenge.
Well, and can we also say it is a little weird to say my money is not for whatever game I choose because I don't like it, but then I demand from the creator that they do every single thing that I want. And can you imagine 1,000 people in a room saying, you need to make this game exactly as I want to make it? Because you'd have somebody who agrees with me and somebody who disagrees with me. How do you make both of them happy? There's balancing issues that can crop up with easy mode that they don't want their game, being that way. I mean, it's up to them, right? Let them do it. Let them cook, as the youngins say. Cook. What else we got?
And another question here from Max. Sorry, he was saying, about Assassin's Creed that older games in the series felt more engaging because of their dense, detailed cities. For example, Brotherhood and the earlier titles had multiple large cities. Do you think the series would benefit from going back to having several big cities on one map?
In what games?
Older Assassin's Creed.
Oh,
like
you mean like Mirage, where it's one city, or multiple cities like that? Do I think?
Well, like a large city, like Assassin's Creed 2.
I don't think it. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think it could if the game's good, and it can't if the game's bad. Like, there's no real. I don't think the city is what hinges on it being good or bad. It's all the other stuff. If they want to put everything in one big city, I'm all for it. And if they want to have an area like Valhalla with barely any, I mean, not barely, but, you know, Valhalla, it's like when you think of Vikings, do you often think of super tall, towering? No, they replaced it with the geography.
Similar to Shadows,
Similar
right?
to
You
Shadows.
don't expect these big...
I mean, the tallest place in Shadows is really... I'm not saying that there were super tall places in prior games, but I'm just saying there were. And when you're playing Shadows, I didn't really notice it as long as there was some verticality. I was like, okay, great. And there's some cities, great. But yeah, I don't need a bunch.
Yeah, I think it works. I do like the dense cities because they're interesting to explore.
Yeah.
From a, you know, just like voyeur kind of thing. Like, I like seeing the buildings and architecture and stuff. That's cool. But I don't think the games hinge on that. It can be a good, it can be a cool thing. Like London, I really enjoyed in Syndicate because...
God, it was so fucking good.
I also know some of the places, right? So I can go. That's
always great. Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that's super cool.
It's always great.
But yeah, man. I think
else we got?
It can work without those two.
So do I.
Last question. Max was saying, with Microsoft reportedly aiming for minus 30% profit margins on Xbox going forward, it feels like a lot of big gaming companies are prioritizing revenue, market cap, and safe bets rather than creativity. We're seeing more remasters, remakes, and sequels instead of taking risks on new IP. Why do we think the industry is shifting so hard toward profit-driven decisions instead of just focusing on making genuinely great games? And what would it take for studios to feel confident investing in new original titles?
Can I point out that 6 years ago was actually the highest time of remakes and remasters? Just want to point that out.
We always think we're at the highest.
We always think we're at the highest.
You know?
Yeah, we are not at the highest, actually. In fact, Embracer continuing to run, we would have been at the highest. But when Embracer was making games, Embracer single-handedly, I believe, beat last year single-handedly. They had a ton of remasters and remakes. Microsoft's 30% is an odd one because that's not the Xbox division. That's the person above the Xbox division who... Personally, my belief has really hampered the Xbox division, and now they're wanting 30%. Just so everybody knows, at the height of gaming, height of companies with revenue projections and returns on revenue, 30% was pretty much never met. 30% is almost unrealistic. It's insanely high revenue, and basically, it's really high. So I don't really know what happens if you don't hit that or how you're going to hit it, if we're going to see add-ons or something like that. By the way, this is not, I know it's to talk about Microsoft is a big deal, but they're not the only ones that have had the exact same thing that's just popped up with revenue. And you're going to see other companies announcing the exact same thing. They may not announce it as openly as Microsoft because Microsoft does announce stuff openly, which is weird, other than their numbers of sales, which a lot of companies, even Sony now is saying that they're not going to report on that. They're going to go on, what is it? Integration? No, not integration. What's the term? When you interaction with the game or something like that. But yeah, 30% is insanely high for pretty much any company. So, like that's, it seems unrealistic. Well, it is sort of unrealistic in the way that businesses were done. However, Microsoft is sitting on probably 60 or 70 massive IPs that if they were to sell on the Switch and on the PlayStation, and with like-for-like technology on all these, Switch is a little hedgy, they could actually see it. But would it continue? Dude, they'd have to have banger after banger with no game that was released over the top of another game. They could have great games and just not sell. I mean, and the other thing about hedging their bets or whatever, Microsoft, listen, there's one of the dumbest companies ever at times. I'm the first to admit it. I fucking hate some of the stuff that they've done with Halo and Master Chief. But you got to admit, they just released Keeper, and they worked with Double Fine to get that released. They have a shit ton of actually really cool, like, smaller titles that have come out that have been from them or first on theirs. So I can't really diss on them and pretend I'm accurate when I diss on them if I'm not accurate when I say something good about them. Because otherwise, that would be, it may please listeners, and they'll be like, haha. But it would not be factually accurate. So there is that too. Yeah. But yeah, I think big companies definitely hedge on the bigger titles because, yeah, they're safe. And right now, the entire industry is unsafe. And by the way, anybody who thinks AA's and AAA's and indies are not doing this, you're completely wrong. Look no further than 3 things, by the way. Roguelikes, card battlers.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, those 2 things are like insane.
Souls-like.
And Souls-like, yeah. If you think that indie companies don't do this, then you're not talking to indie devs like I am, because I literally talk to them every day. I consult for these guys, and they bring it up. They're like, well, this one of the 3 games we had, this seems like the safest game.
Franchise, but it's derivative in the same way.
It's aimed for, dude.
Through a different.
They have the same number as everybody else does, Johnny. They look and they're like, well, card battlers were big for a while, right? Monster Trains and all that stuff. And Slay the Spires, those kind of things. Dude, they are legitimately saying the same stuff you hear anybody else say. They're like, oh, well, we looked and the return on investment for a card battler is higher. This is back in the day, not so much now, but then a MOBA. So we are, or a superhero shooter, a hero shooter. So I don't know why people think it's just the massive companies. It is every single person is aiming for that. And if they're not, they're the type of person who, God bless them, really has a singular internal drive that they're able to push forward. Because I'm going to tell you, if I got 5 people on my team and I said, we're going to go for broke, what happens if we fail? If you get 4 other people who say, who cares? That's great. But it's really rare. And
that's very rare.
We have a lot of hero worship in gaming where we're like, no.
There is always one axis that's like the safe bet. It could be that it's a franchise and therefore, something coming from that. It could be, like you said, it's just a genre. So like you talk to your publisher and you said, we're making a deck builder. And they want that, right? They're shopping for deck builders. So then that's your safety axis. Yep. So there's always something you're aiming for. Very rarely do you see something that's just completely not
Eternal marketable. Just pointed this up too, Johnny. So many MMOs when those were big. Absolutely true. Even from, by the way, startup companies, indie companies were doing. There is no magic fucking tag.
We saw some Korean.
Can you imagine MMOs? Putting a tag on your shirt that said indie and suddenly you were a person who didn't care about any money? Of course they do. Like, I don't get it. The same thing happened with when I was doing the research for the AA, AAA games. And one of the things about AA games, you'll hear a lot of people say is they have a lot of different systems in them that maybe a AAA game only has 3 or 4. So I distinctly just walked up to the developers and was like, I need to ask you a question. Do you have any clarity on why this is? Because my idea is that it's possible that you guys put a bunch of stuff in and then it costs money to cut it. So maybe you flesh it out a little bit and you leave it in because you know that is exactly what they said. They were like, they had exact examples where 2 or 3 of the game systems seemed a little, they were in there, but they were a little cumbersome, but they added some meat to the game. And they were all, we would have cut those if we had the ability to go back and remove the extra parts from all this other stuff. But we ended up at a point where we decided instead, let's just keep it in, trim it down a little bit, make it usable as an additional thing. And that is where in the cuts, where I was surprised, it's not the building of additional things, it's the cuts that come later when you decide to remove things that sometimes there is no money to cut. And so they'll be like, what do we do? Or somebody leaves or what, because a smaller team, you have a higher chance of like one person leaving, taking a huge amount of like expertise from an area. Yep. What do you do? They're like, what we do is we snip it a little bit, we mold it, and we use it as a positive. We say, oh, and we also have a crafting system. How many games have we played, Johnny, where that crafting system, especially in AA games, which I love, they're my favorite genre, but you're like, this crafting system seems like, why is it just one guy in a city in this massive world that's got crafting? Like, what's going on? And you find out it's because the crafting system costs too much to do different weapons or what have you.
It was gutted or like readjusted. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And I want to thank those guys. You'll see that video in the next couple weeks, I think. But it's a huge one. It's a lot of study to figure out what was going on and a lot of people to talk to and figure out what it's like.
I think as well, like we were saying before, that for your stuff, making a great video is almost the easy part because you need to get all the other stuff around it, right?
Yeah.
The YouTube mini game, the packaging, the how you get the word out, right? Like your brand, all the, like.
But it would be different for a big company, and it might be different for a smaller YouTuber.
Yes, it will take different shape, right? For you versus like IGN.
Yeah.
So in the same way, it will be different for devs of different sizes, but even still for them, it's not good enough to make a great game very often because we see great games flopping, you know.
We do.
Maybe they don't sell well or like the studio goes under.
It's crazy.
Still.
Remedy is a perfect example where
Remedy.
You're looking at Remedy going, okay, these guys pretty much built, there is some wasted space in there, admittedly, but overall.
So I think it's not good enough for you to say, we're just going to focus on making a genuinely great game, creative game.
Yeah.
That's good and part of the equation, but you need to find a good like overlap of people who want your game, right? That you're going to sell to. And it needs to land at a more or less good time where that's still relevant. Because right now, if you release an RTS, it's going to be tough, right?
Yeah.
Like people aren't really in the market for RTS that much, as an example. So it kind of all has to fit. You know, it's really not that easy. And that's why people do try to find that axis of reliability for return.
Yeah, for sure. What else we got for questions? Anything?
No, that was the last one for today.
So real quick, I do have some science stuff.
Let's go.
These are things that we might have already talked for, but a new study found poor dental oral health significantly raises the risk of a stroke, even when classic risk factors like high blood pressure are unaccounted for or accounted for.
I love how everything is connected in the body.
Yeah, dude, the human body is a disaster mixed in a miracle. Yeah. It's always ready to kill you.
It really is a miracle that we're not just shitting ourselves every day.
Just and every day. Imagine the bad food people eat. Some people don't get sick. You know, like, And then somebody has a bad tooth, but the infection goes down. I remember reading that when I was younger.
And then you have like Steve Tyler from Aerosmith, like taking all the types of drugs available and still being
where somebody else overdoses once. That guy will overdose 11 times. Maybe even won't even notice one or two of them. Yeah. Or did at least.
Yeah,
let's see. A hybrid cross that no one knows how this happened. A hybrid cross between an ancient tomato plant and a potato plant look-alike 9 million years ago has given rise to what we consider the potato today.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like we wouldn't have you ever seen some of that where you track like what a corn cob looked like before we domesticated it?
Yes.
And you're like, what the fuck? It's like
wild,
the mini corns.
Dude. Yeah. Yes.
And it all discolored and shit. You know, it looks like
and now they're just fat and full and like optimized.
Let's see. Oh, here's a crazy one. Cheese made from raw milk contaminated with the bird virus can retain infectious virus even after regulatory required 60-day aging, especially if the cheese is not highly acidic. Dude, viruses are the craziest shit ever. Viruses will just be like, fuck. Oh, by the way, here's another one. Don't even have to read. This is the craziest thing. Scary, probably the end of the world, but I got to say it. There is a brand new bacteria never before seen that the Chinese brought back on a space shuttle because it was living on the outside of the space station, and they collected it and swabbed it and did a culture, and they were like, it's never been seen before. It basically was on the outside of the space station and was from something else and has turned into this new thing.
Dude, it's like the plot of Venom in Spider-Man.
Yeah, or the Andromeda strain. Real quick, I'm going to read this super chat. SBZ says, a $5 super chat. Helldivers 2 dropped a patch that buffs weapons and nerfs enemies, making it significantly easier. I'm good. I'm done with that game. That's too bad. Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, too bad for me. I sort of like the idea of it being difficult, but we'll end it there.
Especially if you're used to the game.
We didn't know how far we had gone. It's almost 4 hours. What other sign? I didn't realize that until I just looked. We're 3 hours 45 minutes.
We've gone a bit long today.
Let
me hit you with a couple.
Okay, I was gonna say I can do next week's as well because I missed this week's. But if you want to do next week's, it's also fine. Or we can do one apiece, or not one apiece, but a list apiece. Go ahead.
Okay, we can take turns if you want. If you want to do this week.
Either or. No, but go ahead with yours. Okay. Man, we got enough science facts. There's something crazy. You know it. Let's do it.
Okay. One thing that blew my mind is that apparently there's a moon boom where they found up to 128 new moons around Saturn.
And do you know what all those are?
I had to read this like a couple times because I couldn't believe this.
Saturn and Jupiter collect so much debris, man. We wouldn't even be here without those guys.
Yeah, dude.
They probably fucked us over.
Catching.
Yep.
Just catching them.
And what they're calling a moon, I wonder did they say the diameter? Because that makes me wonder if
they're
considering a moon like 3.2 feet.
It might just be an agglomeration of stuff.
It's like you and I frozen in space, stuck together by our pure gravity, and they're like, that's a moon. I love that shit.
Do you think we're gonna have to deal with space debris at some point?
Already are.
Isn't it already like a horrible parking lot?
Yeah, dude, it sucks, man. It sucks.
You see it in the movies as this beautiful thing, but the reality is like you go up there and it's a dump yard. Like
you go up at the wrong time and it's just 19 of Elon Musk's Starlink just hitting the side of your spaceship. Yeah, dude, we're in deep shit. They're already looking at like different ways in which you could possibly get satellites up there that move around, pull up that debris. But the amount is it's well into like I think it's over 100,000 or maybe it's over 1 million pieces of debris. And then anything that blows up, right? Like Russia's destroyed a couple satellites with missiles, satellite. We've destroyed one or two with missiles back in the day when that was okay, and that shit's just flying around. It's just like ready to pierce somebody's head. I'm surprised that like the guys on the space station, you hear them. They'll say you can hear the occasional like ding when something comes, but like that shit's traveling 5 miles a second, which is just so you know, pretty fucking fast. That shit would suck. What else we got? Any other cool news or any other cool facts?
So another fact that I came across is that Arctic ground squirrels, not what you expected, they literally freeze their bodies during hibernation. So even the heart stops, cells shut down, and they like basically like reboot. But months later.
The Arctic squirrel?
Yeah, the Arctic ground squirrel.
I've never heard of an Arctic. So I know the frog that does that. There's a frog that has has antifreeze in its blood. Basically, it's got a sugary thing in its blood that stops the proteins from busting and the cells from busting. The Arctic, dude, how many are there? There's got to be like 6 of those bastards up there because I've never heard of an Arctic squirrel.
Me neither, man.
But they're hardy. They're probably sleeping for like 9 months out of the year.
What's keeping us from? Can I Walt Disney? I know we talked about it in the past, but if these fuckers can do it,
their entire chemical structure is based on it. So if you used it, it would probably kill you. It's like that. It's like that thin-skinned because our brain I told you about
needs the oxygen, right? Like we just don't function.
But the idea is sound. That's very cool. And I mean, you see it with like bears and stuff. They eat, but then they end up, they can handle like super cold temperatures because they're just nothing's going on. That shit's cool. I just don't even know what they're like. I don't even envision. I mean, I envision a chipmunk in the Arctic being white, and I'm assuming they're probably not. But I keep thinking of them as like a baby chipmunk that's white. Not like a brown chipmunk that you see, because we have chipmunks here and squirrels here. That's crazy. Did you also know that the one thing you don't have to worry about is rabies with them, or don't have to worry nearly as much about? You have to worry about bubonic plague. They carry that, and it's way worse than rabies. But rabies is so dangerous and so life-altering that everybody uses that myth of wild animals for rabies because it's a good warning. It's like, hey, watch out for rabies, don't let him bite you. But the actual thing is the plague. Like, that's the worst of the two that you could have, is the plague. So I was like, oh, that was interesting. You know, I wouldn't go, I mean, I don't even touch dead animal like a squirrel. If one dies, dogs get it. I'll put it in I'll grab rubber gloves and stuff, because that shit, I don't know what it is with wild animals, but
don't want to risk it.
Yeah, no. Dude, even when hunting, you'd shoot an elk and you'd be pulling the skin off the elk and the ticks all over. You know, you got to really be careful, man, because that, like, it's a wild animal. You know, it's not out there with some kind of dermatologist checking its skin every month. You know, those things can get pretty messed up.
True.
An Arctic squirrel. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, that's a weird ass animal.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm envisioning him building baby igloos and sleeping inside all warm and shit. Like, I don't know why, but now I've turned them into baby, white furred humans. What else we got?
Okay, last fact that I ran into, there was a study that showed that the placebo effect gets even stronger when people know about it. So they had this study where, like, some people were taking the real thing, others were taking the fake pill, and yet another group were taking the fake pill but knew it was the fake pill. And those people statistically did better. More than chance. They did better than both of the other groups.
I wonder if that's because there's a question of if you have the placebo, if you don't know. And it drops your chance of success low. So certain people's attitudes are like, this for sure isn't working because it's a placebo. So they artificially lower the placebo. I don't know. I mean, if somebody told me it was a placebo, what would you do? I'd be like, well, then it's not working. I don't know. I'd be like, well, then it's not working.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever taken some supplement or something where, it promises to help you with something, right? Like maybe your energy level or like your sleep, something like that. And even if maybe you didn't believe it did anything for you,
right?
It still helped you, just like the fact that you're taking it and you're putting this intention towards improving this part of your life, whatever it is.
I'm not the best example because it takes twice as much like testosterone to get my testosterone to a normal number. And like, I'm very as the doctor just told me 2 days ago, he's like, you are one of the most chemically resistant people I have ever met.
Stubborn.
It's very stubborn. Yeah. But I do remember taking some weightlifting supplements years ago that were like when the herbal boom came into it. We're not talking real pro hormones or anything, just, all these different Alibaba or whatever the one is called, like Anchor Watt. They always, by the way, neither one of those are right, but I'm just filling in words now. And I remember lifting weights and being like, I would always go a couple days before I'd lift weights with them because you do need to build up. Most things don't just, real chemicals do, but like an herbal thing. I don't know. I remember there were a couple, though, that we'd take and I'd be like, oh, yeah, this seems to work. And then later you'd read a study where they're like, actually, it doesn't seem to do anything. But here's the other thing, Johnny. If it makes you feel like it's working, then, especially with workouts, it has worked, because if you take it for a workout, now you're working out harder because the placebo makes you think it's working. You are actually showing very real gains due to the placebo, even if you know it's a placebo. Like, so.
Yeah. I mean, dude, as a kid, I used to take homeopathy, the drops.
Oh my God. One drop out of a billion.
And it's absolutely horse shit.
Yeah.
The entire project, right? Where you drop one little bit into a pond of water, whatever. And that's meant to sway your nervous system. The whole project is.
Well, can I ask you a question? Very real question. Do you have to go?
Yeah.
It's a short question, but if you and I were working on a group and you were having a bad day and I walked up and I said to you, hey, man, you're doing fine. Keep on working. That is a placebo, because in no way, shape, or form have I made a physical impact on you other than your own emotional response to whatever I've done. And that makes a very real one. So it doesn't surprise me too much that it's possible that a placebo, even if it is a placebo, there's the act of swallowing it, the act of it being inside there. It doesn't surprise me too much, because really, in all honesty, almost everything we do when we say good job, in no way, shape, or form have I affected science, atoms. There's been no effect, but it can dramatically, increase somebody's ability to do. I could see somebody having the same reaction for a placebo that maybe if I said good job, they wouldn't give a fuck because I'm a person. And they're like, I don't care.
Right.
You're just a person. I don't give a shit. But if they take a placebo or take 1 part per 800 billion, gillion, jillion gallons, they're like, yeah, I feel better.
I think there's something about the action.
I think so too.
Being linked mentally to your intention of, getting better at something.
Smiling. Very real scientific return on smiling.
Sure.
Hey, you know what?
Or like,
No, go ahead.
Sorry. No.
You go ahead.
Just like a supplement can have, maybe you're taking a vitamin you weren't taking before. That can, even if it's not doing that much.
Have you seen people take vitamins and I have somebody in my personal family who does this, Johnny. They'll take a vitamin and an hour later be like, yeah, man, that's definitely making an effect. And you're like, listen.
Listen. It hasn't even made it to your,
it's on top of the 2 pizza slices you ate. And so therefore you're going to get the chemical of the carbs and think that bit of energy is the vitamin. But that vitamin will take days, if not weeks, to grow and become usable.
Don't even embarrass yourself. Like talking about,
Yeah. The only one I've ever noticed was, I have a very real hereditary thing that is quite dangerous if I don't have vitamin C and vitamin D. Sorry. And so you hear a lot of people saying taking vitamin D is it's a placebo. Low vitamin D doesn't mean anything. Well, science proves low vitamin D for sure is a thing. You definitely have to watch out for it.
Yeah.
But for me, I did notice supplements. It took a while, but mine was low, astronomically low. Like low as low. And I would go out in the sun, I'd fucking go outside, I'd be tanned as shit, and they'd be like, dude, you have 3 atoms of vitamin D. Like, what the shit is going on with it? Like, this doesn't make sense. And so you have to watch out with how you take it because it can be really bad on you. But that one definitely did help me over a period of time. It raised the numbers, did feel a slight decrease in some fatigue and stuff, which I don't feel as much, but you
That's
notice
interesting.
it. Yeah.
I respect the power of the mind.
Dude, so do I.
And intention.
And we see it every day. We see it every day. Why can't we believe in placebo? I don't believe placebos are good. Like, as in, you don't want to try to heal something. It's like, I'm missing an arm.
Sure.
Don't worry. I'm
Give me the real pill.
Over it.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I want the real pill. But you see it all the time. Weightlifters, when they psych themselves up, like the placebo of believing that they can do it, and you see somebody pound something,
or they take a new energy shake that maybe tastes better, or like it's a brand, they like the Modern Wisdom guy, so now because they're taking the whatever he sells, like the shake, you're like, dude, okay, now I'm locked in
all the time,
the time, man.
Or 244 hertz.
Yeah, there you go.
Placebo.
Yeah,
I'm done with that.
Full circle back to that.
There we go. Full circle. That'll be it for us. We're sorry we went long, but there was a Halo video. I hope you guys all enjoyed this. We had a good time. People who are listening, I apologize because you'll be listening. You'll be like, "What the fuck? The Halo thing?" I'm saying this now, and I can't say it back when it started. Hopefully, I gave enough information that we were watching that, so you can skip to the later parts. But that'll be it for us. If you guys get a chance when this is over, if you could go and you could thumbs it up, we would appreciate it. And we will see you next week. Peace out.
Bye-bye.